This is our comparison episode of Audi S and Audi RS vehicles, the ones that you especially like. And we have here in our test the popular Audi S3 versus the so far Audi S4 versus the Audi RS5 Sportback versus the Audi RS6 Avant versus Audi RS7 Sportback versus Audi S8 versus Audi SQ8, and looking to the upcoming Audi S5, the all-new generation with the renaming process, everything you need to know about that, versus the two electric new S competitors, Audi SQ6 and Audi S6, the new electric one. Which one would you go for? Which one would I pick for my dream garage? Let's check it out. Let's go.
The most important thing for me with this new vehicle here, that I could match the beautiful Ascari blue with my polo shirt and my shoes even. That's one of my hobbies. And now the most important things for you, all the details about the Audi S3 facelift with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the front. Completely new front styling here in the grille, and also these lying Ls here. Today in the bright styling. You could also get a black pack for the S3, but I feel it is more beautiful that way. Here, new Audi rings, more two-dimensional styling, and also in this bright white design. LED, optional matrix LED is available, and for this one you can get different daytime running light signatures you can individualize on the interior. 3 with the normal LED, 4 with the matrix LED. Side profile, this here is the S3 sedan. Both are available, hatchback and the sedan. The sedan here at 177 inches or 4 meters and 50. The hatchback would be 4 meters 35 or 171 inches. S3, 18-inch wheels or 19-inch, and this is a beautiful styling, reminds me of a 90s BBS styling, this spider style. New 18-inch brakes underneath, red brake calipers. I think it's so much more beautiful when you hear the bright contrast around the windows, also in the lower part and at the side mirrors. Or would you rather go for a blacked out design? Tell me in the comments. I think also the sedan so much, brings so much more character to this vehicle. Some others prefer the hatch. Design-wise, I definitely prefer the sedan. What do you think? And suspension-wise, you either get a fixed sport suspension, 50 millimeters lower than the base model, or the DCC. That's the adaptive suspension you get here with the S3 as well. Then it's also 50 millimeters lower in comparison to a standard model. And if you compare adaptive suspension standard model versus adaptive suspension here with the S3, the difference is 5 millimeters. Beautiful palms in the background, isn't it, here in our Oman location. Look at that here in the rear, optional sports exhaust by Akrapovic titanium. Then you have these 4 pipes here. That looks really cool, and soon we'll also take a sound sample for you. Then new styling here with the lower bumper, also with these lying Ls in that form. And then important technology change. The S3 now gets the torque split from the RS3. What does it mean? The all-wheel drive system usually works front plus rear on demand, maximum 50-50 distribution. And then on the rear axle, now with this torque split, one wheel can turn faster than the other one, and that is usually then the outside wheel when you go in a corner. So for example, I go into a left corner, then the right outside wheel turns faster than the inside wheel, or gets more power actually, and then it kind of leans into the corner that way. You can even go to a dynamic plus mode that is new, then also ESC is drawn back, and you can do some kind of drifting action, although it is not a rear wheel based platform. Turning indicators in the front already with the cascading style if you have the top matrix LED option. In the rear you already get the cascading form here with the normal LED trim. That one is at least standard for the S3. 2-liter 4-cylinder under the hood, now at 333 horsepower. That's 23 horsepower more than the pre-facelift. 420 Newton meters of torque, and the acceleration figure now is at 4.7 seconds. Before it was 4.8 seconds. Oh, here's also nice S or red signalizing the 4 cylinders. And yeah, still the gas struts, good to have them definitely. Key fob here with the touchable Audi logo, I think it's good. And also here with the S badge. By the way, the model naming is now always here at the B pillar. Says S3 TSI Quattro for the all-wheel drive. Yeah, a lot of desert sand here getting collected. Then, door closing sound. Oh, there we go. It's really solid, like that. Inside of the doors, soft touch in the top part somewhat. And then here also the nice door handle, which you actually control like this from the lower part. This then here microfiber inside, also with this, with these micro holes there. So pretty cool styling. Just the lower part is hardback. Also, there's no covering on the inside, so no sound system you can get there now. Then the S entry badge here for the S3, as well as the S steering. Then you have perforations at the side with contrast stitching, and you have new microfiber inserts here and also on the right side of the dashboard. My absolute favorite are the sport seats. In this case then also with microfiber inside, leatherette on the outside, so the seats are completely animal free. They look cool also here with the stamped in S logo. And at the same time, they not only look cool, they give you side support, but they also are good long term. So this is still compact size here, compact sedan, but you have a comfort like a level above, and that's what I really fancy. And here, steering wheel up and down, in and out, manual control with a good size here. Still clicking sounds from these buttons, manual buttons, that's what I love. Also upgraded shifting levers here now. They were there before, but now they have, this shiny top, so they look a little bit more upmarket. Headroom here without the panoramic roof with the 189 or 6'2". Yeah, still some left. There's always like, what is this? Like, walk. And Leah can show us now how far back the passenger seat goes. It's also very important when you have long legs, of course, as a passenger, that it goes far backwards. And thank you so much, Leah, for your filming today. Desert-like temperatures, and it's really, really hot. So thanks also for her effort. Please also thank her in the comments. Interior cockpit overview, here with these very prominent air vents. Then soft touch here at the dashboard, new Dynamica microfiber inserts here, 10-inch infotainment system. I love clicking sounds for the real manual climate unit, good to have that still. And instruments here, 12.3-inch all digital. Shifting pedals are very well to use. Yeah, and I really like the setup that you have not too large a steering wheel and so on. Real touchable outer rings on the steering wheel. This is rather a classic setup for the cockpit, but that's why I really appreciate it. Now 2 USB-C chargers here in the front. Shifting lever is more integrated, even flatter than here. 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Adaptive cup holders, also quite solid. The middle armrest here, so it automatically slides forward when you put some pressure on it. I think it needs to be fixed a little bit more. Maybe it is in the US version. And then, however, it's well attached to the sides and some more space underneath. Infotainment system here with this classic view, so I think it's relatively easy to control indeed. Here in the lights and vision, there you can go to exterior lighting, digital signatures, and then you can switch through the different signatures here. 4 when you have the matrix LED, 3 if you would have the standard LED, which are standard for the S3. What else? Then here, the drive select. When you pick the drive select, there we go. Not only dynamic mode, but also dynamic plus is now available. Then you're already here. The engine is kind of like preloaded, more exhaust sound. But in general, here with the S3 now, with this facelift, there we go with the drive select. Once again, the RPMs are always a little bit higher than with the predecessor, with the pre-facelift. So they tuned the engine overall in a sportier sense. You can always go also for individual settings, for example, even for the torque splitter. Rear doors also have nice microfiber inserts here. Just the top part here is hard pack. And then the comfort is good, but then again, when a tall person is driving with these voluminous sport seats, the legs don't really fit with another tall person behind it. So there's not much space here in the A3 in the rear. However, headroom in the sedan I hit the head on the ceiling when I lean backwards. If I relax my spine, it's okay. But if I put my spine up, I do hit the seating with my head. However, the seating materials here in the rear and also with this stamped in or this quilted structure, that is beautifully done. Really gives you these small cushions. I love these details. That's why I'm also a car nerd. So styling wise and comfort is good, but the legroom is the main issue. If you want more headroom, by the way, the hatchback would be a little bit better than in the headroom in the rear. As for the trunk here, of course, with the sedan, limited in height. But then you have a better length. But first of all, the width, about 1 meter or 40 inches. And then the length is also almost 1 meter or 40 inches. Whereas the hatchback would end here at 80 centimeters or 31 inches. So this is like what you gain in length here in the sedan truck. But then again, lose something in height. You can, of course, also fold the seats. But for that, you have to actually go around and do it then from the rear like this. And this is an exclusive new color called Flaming Mint Camouflage. I'm just kidding. It is the camo paint here for the very first vehicle we were allowed to drive. The final one we have already just shown you. But yeah, this is just another example of sometimes we get inquiries like, can I buy it as it stands here right here? Would you like to have this one in this very paint with these wheels here? Tell me in the comments. And this one we're now going to drive. And we can directly take a spin. Let's use the launch control. Plop, that's 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. Whew, super quick, especially with the launch control, but so controlled. Of course, then so much power is being sent to the rear axle. Maximum is then 50-50 distribution. Here for the launch control, the new torque split, of course, doesn't play a role, but it will now here in these corners. And I am in this new Dynamic Plus mode, and this Dynamic Plus mode makes it, even more power to the rear and also enhances this torque split mechanism that I can fully use it. Theoretically, up to 100% of the rear torque is sent to one wheel, and I mean, this is predominantly a front wheel based platform, the whole base platform. But first of all, we have this all-wheel drive system, and now with the torque split, you hardly feel anymore that it is actually a front wheel bias, because I feel now like the rear is coming a little bit around like it would be with a rear wheel based all-wheel drive vehicle, for example. Like if you have a rear wheel biased car, then you have an all-wheel drive. So balanced in the handling, and now I accelerate out and I feel this rear a little bit spinning around. It's not like it would be drifting instantaneously, especially when it's dry here, but here in this Dynamic Plus mode you actually have already a Sport ESC. That means that the electronic stability program is already drawn back a little bit. Well, then let's put it to the test. Straight in the corner, outside, really nice exit. Ooh, and directly over 1 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. Although we're going uphill here all the way. Now it's pushing a little bit over the front axle. But then on the outside, as soon as I'm on the throttle, it's fine again. So you really feel that, especially due to this technology, you need to use the throttle when exiting the corner, and then you can make this vehicle here less front wheel biased. It's just that in that corner, when I'm still on the gas, I'm still feeling it. So you have to adapt your driving, a little bit to that, to the individual concept. So for example here, maybe I'm making it a little bit tighter, and then here on the outside, that's really beautiful. Wow, really cool. And some viewers here who had actually the S3 or who bought it, we've been talking about the base RPM, so to speak, and here they kind of put the base RPM a little bit higher, so you're always a little bit better in higher RPMs or quicker in higher RPMs. Yes, that means more consumption, but at the same time it also means more instantaneous reaction from the engine. Whew, it's really cool how it goes uphill. Oh, it's a camel. Have you seen that? There was like a warning sign in the camel, and there was a camel on top of that. So that, like someone would have faked a photo or something. So we will always watch out for the camels here on the side of the road, of course. A little bit downhill. I love, by the way, the steering. So direct input, really crisp and precise. It is progressive, now with this facelift even more progressive. And you've maybe seen me going uphill. There was more camels?
Yes.
Oh yeah, there's camels. Oh, there's a small one. Well, is that a smaller one?
Yeah.
So now we have to slow down a little bit. So you always
And a big
get
one. And a
small. Oh, so now you get a little bit free camel entertainment. There we go. Oh, there's the small one. Look at that. Oh, they're really beautiful. So now we can also, for example, go back to the comfort mode. That the exhaust is also a little bit more silent. There we go. Oh, look at that, how cute. So they're probably also not too keen on hearing the very loud exhaust note. So then you can go back to the comfort mode. We're also equipped with the DCC here now, the adaptive suspension. In the comfort mode, we have the more comfort dampening. It's good, for example, also when the road is a little bit more destroyed. And when you're on freeway and you're not disturbing any animals, then you can, for example, go to the dynamic mode. Or once again in Dynamic Plus, if you want the drawn back ESC, for example, and then you can play a little bit more with the vehicle. One more time, acceleration from standstill, but out of the corner. That's always a good test to see what is the steering doing, you know, while hardly accelerating out of that corner, how controlled the vehicle is actually. Let's go. Look at that. Drop and 100 again. Super smooth. You see the steering wheel did not get out of control at all. Good distribution of power, and once again also I didn't feel any understeering, especially now when accelerating out of the standstill, because when you think about, you would have just a front wheel powered car or even front wheel platform with some all-wheel drive. You maybe then, you know, going into understeering, you're being directed a little bit, but here that doesn't happen at all, at least then here from standstill out of the corner. So really cool. Then you might ask yourself if you consider buying an S3 or an RS3 next to the obvious price difference. Here now with the torque split in the rear, does it still make sense to go for an RS3? Price performance wise, of course not. And yes, with that facelift that has been even stronger, that argument. However, you feel that the RS3 still gives you more power and more punch, especially when you have situations like you're going uphill, you stop in between a little bit, then you want to get going again. There, this additional cylinder, additional power just gives you a little bit more and like easiness. Here, as long as you keep it in higher RPMs or in lower gears, for example, also with these shifting pedals that have been upgraded a little bit with this shiny element in here, this is all fine. Here, shift down yourself, for example, hit it, and you're absolutely fine. But if you sometimes get into a situation, you may be a gear too high or something, you're not in the Dynamic Plus mode, then you feel you are lacking power in comparison to an RS3, where it's just easier also from a low RPM perspective. So that is then the main aspect. And of course that the S3 gives you a little bit more everyday driving life comfort. So it's the better compromise, whereas the RS3 is of course the more extreme choice and then also the more expensive choice. And yeah, we not only have some camel viewing here for you today, also some cows passing the roads here, and yeah, as we know here, always taking care, comfort mode, silence, and we make freeway. There we go. I really have to say, I would take this vehicle exactly as it stands right here, Ascari blue on the outside, then the bright accentuations with the bright Audi rings, also with the bright wheels, the bright frames around, and then also with the microfiber seats. This is to me the perfect combination, not only for an S3, but I would take any Audi sedan actually in this very styling combination. I just love it. If the facelift is really necessary as for the changes exterior interior, I think you will very well live with a pre-facelift there. Crucial indeed, the torque split here at the rear that now comes for the S3. Before that was only unique to the RS3. So now the question is, yeah, the RS3 you would go for when you want the 5-cylinder and even more power. But here, of course, this is the way better price-performance ratio than if you compare it to the RS3. Audi S4. Let's go with the Audi single frame grille, black styling. You can also get black Audi rings and this Ur Quattro citation from the first Quattro model actually. Here then the matrix LED lamps with a beautiful turning indicator also in a cascading style, and more black accentuations in the lower part. This color is called Ascari Blue. The Audi once again with the most conservative look and also, let's say, not screaming out too much. Front seating here with the Audi, comfortable and balanced, and also the steering wheel position here, manual style up and down and out, but really smooth indeed. So this is here already seating wise a good balance between sportiness and comfort. And headroom is plenty left even with 189 or 6'2". And the Audi seats here with Alcantara on the middle part and integrated head restraint. Looks quite cool, especially this Alcantara pattern, doesn't it? Interior overview in the Audi S4, clean, straightforward, rather conservative, nice brushed aluminum, and here this tablet or the screen is basically attached. This is the facelift model. Digital instruments, clear to read. I think the best digital instruments here in this test. You can also change the view. And of course this lovely climate unit right here. It's so great, has this really beautiful clicking sound. This is the best straightforward user interface, also here with the toggle wheels on the steering wheel. So yes, it looks most old school, but it's also easiest to control. Seating in the rear with the Audi, headroom is fine, but these sport seats with the integrated head restraint, they really restrict the legroom. It's better with the normal A4 with a separated head restraint, but here it's really close. Just cool. Inside of the door, the Alcantara, and also here on the seats again. And the Audi at 460 liters, but I feel this one here has the best square dimensions. So they're all a meter or 40 inches in length or in width approximately. But this one, I think, among the best usable. In Europe, you get the 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel. In the US, you get the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine. We'll also test drive both for you today, that you can actually compare them. So in Europe, I have to say the diesel fought a little bit out of the spec. However, for the driving performance and the behavior of the vehicle, it doesn't change much because it is still a rear-wheel biased all-wheel drive. What about the Audi? Plop, that's 180 kilometers an hour, really strong. Of course, here in the European version, this is the 3-liter diesel. However, the acceleration figure is kind of the same. There's just a difference that when you have that diesel, the torque is setting in later. And then on the Autobahn, when you're already at speed and using that torque, then it's really strong. Gives you good punch as well. The TSI, which you also get in the US, or then in the S5 convertible, you can still get it, for example, in Europe. That one is actually a little bit more instant torque, instant speed at lower speeds. Oh, directly when you hit the pedal. Here with the diesel, you have to wait like this second and then it pushes massively. But what they have both in common, and this will also not change anything else about this review, both have the standard Quattro 40-60 distribution, so you always have a rear wheel bias indeed. And of course also suspension and so on and handling is the same. And here on the German Autobahn, once again, it really feels at home, so settled indeed. We have the adaptive suspension in here. I'm in dynamic mode, then I have a little bit more feedback from the road, but I can also go, for example, to the comfort mode. Then it dampens a little bit softer. It's actually very good in both cases, and that's the thing about the S models at Audi. They are always setting a tone on the perfect balance, actually. They don't want to go too much into the sporty direction. They really want to give you the perfect balance between sportiness and comfort, and that's what I love here also about the Audi S4 indeed. Also in combination with the seats, for example, I think the Audi here has the best long-term comfort, is, so to speak, the most relaxed vehicle of the three here. And also when I take the Alpha Giulia into account, still accounts for that. The Audi is the most relaxed vehicle without being, you know, so much less sporty or so much less instantaneous from the acceleration and so on. Also here with the steering, really precise, very progressive, finest input, and you don't feel any dead zone area. I also think the steering input is among the best with the Audi. Mercedes improved that massively now here with the new C-Class generation. So before they were a little bit off as for the sporty character of the steering. Now definitely more comparable, but the Audi steering here is still so likable both in parking in and out and also when you handle a little bit sportier. Like here now, this is a transition between two autobahns. This is actually most fun to me. So some people say, wow, look at that here. Hardly have to use the steering wheel. I mean, really progressive, very nice. So some people say throttling it out on the autobahn is most fun. I always say these transitions between two autobahn, this is actually to me the most fun. By the way, one autobahn, two Autobahnen, that would be like, you know, like the correct German thing. The plural of Autobahn is an Autobahnen, not Autobahns, like the English plural. So, eine Autobahn, zwei Autobahnen. Listen and repeat. Eine Autobahn, zwei Autobahnen. Like one Autobahn, two Autobahn. So, and here, the next Autobahn. Wow, really good punch, good control, and you've really maybe seen I don't have to do much work on the steering wheel and how precise and calm the car is handling. That's really what I love about this vehicle, and you feel sport and comfort at the same time. I can't stress it enough that this is the special thing about this vehicle. And of course, the straight user interface while driving, click, click. It just gives you this more perceived premium feeling when it's so easy to change the temperature, and you also hear this clicking sound while driving, while changing the temperature. Good and clear and easy digital instruments. So this, on the one hand, old school atmosphere in this vehicle maybe is so straightforward, and to me, still, of the three, the best user interface while driving. And this has a direct connection to driving, because when you are so much in control of the vehicle and you have never any doubt how to control which function in the vehicle, it makes you drive safer, sportier, with more fun, more enjoyment, and less being annoyed by, wait a minute, where was this functioning? And oh, and do I have to search deep in the menu? No, everything is here straightforward, and that really brings back the focus just on driving. And getting off the Autobahn is always a lot of fun as well. Look at that here. And I can have such a high corner speed at the same time. I'm being in perfect control of that. This is a vehicle I really feel one with. And now, as comparison, the Audi 6-cylinder petrol. That's over 180 kilometers an hour. Here, of course, a little bit more wind noise because this is here an S5 convertible. That's the way we can also test in Europe still this 3-liter V6 petrol in the Audi. And yeah, both have good punch. Also the 3 to 6-liter diesel, but this, you know, just has this V6 petrol note, and it's just more lively from the low RPM area. And yeah, that would actually be then the cooler choice, definitely, and also then comparable to the M340i from the BMW. Yeah, it's just so much cooler hearing that sound and also knowing that this isn't fake at all.
The Audi RS5 Sportback. In the front, the A5 in general has this design line that goes all the way to the front grille from every single direction. Really interesting. The RS5 then, sinister here with the glossy black, and you can also get the Audi rings in black if you go for a black design package. RS5 badge, strong lower spoiler, you can also get the carbon fiber accentuations if you like, and then matrix LED are from standard equipment, and what a cool daytime running light.
An option you can see it here with the blue accentuations. There's also the laser light available with a dark background. And these are the cascading turning indicators. Always a great show.
Guys, this is one of the rare occasions where the car does not move, where the camera does not move, but you could leave the picture for 10 minutes and it would still be beautiful. Enjoy the length of 4.78 meters, 15'7" or 188 inches for the Sportback. That means 2.5 inches or 6 centimeters longer in wheelbase than the RS5 Coupe. The Coupe, of course, and the two-door. Here the Sportback, the four-door version, but still with a very central roofline and strong shoulder area. And I'm not sure if I'm the only car enthusiast who thinks about other things when seeing such a sensual and sexy shape of a vehicle. Okay, I don't know, it's a little bit weird, but maybe it's the same with you. RS5 badge here, then lower area here with the carbon fiber spoiler in this carbon fiber package. We get 19 or optional 20-inch wheels. These are the 20-inch wheels in black, really massive styling. 6,000 euros extra for the carbon ceramic brakes in the front. Really cool. Yeah, in this segment you only get it in the front, but trust me, that's enough. Then carbon fiber here also for the side mirrors. So a lot of cool design elements, black frames around. Yeah, I can just say in the styling, pure awesomeness. Today here with a fixed roof, but you can also get a panoramic glass roof. And the Coupe you could also get with a CFRP roof, so carbon fiber reinforced plastics. Here in the rear, more modern signature for the tail lamps. We also have a carbon fiber spoiler in this optional carbon package. Black Audi rings because of the black pack, RS5 logo, and then the lower part really cool with this diffuser style honeycomb structure on the inside. There is a sports exhaust as base, but this is the optional sports exhaust. You can see it because that's the black styling. Then there's a valve also on the inside, and you already heard some of the sound experience. Then as for the suspension, you get a fixed RS Sport suspension or the DRC. It's a dynamic ride control, and this has then 3 different levels: stiffer, normal, or really comfortable. It's not adaptive in each mode, but fixed 3 modes, and that of course makes the riding at least a little bit adjustable. We also have it here today.
And not to miss the cascading turning indicators here at the rear.
Yeah, there it is. The V6 2.9 liter bi-turbo, 450 horsepower, 3.9 seconds is the acceleration figure. Quattro all-wheel drive, but with a rear wheel bias. 40-60% is the standard distribution. I think we can live with that. First of all, door closing sound. Yeah, really solid for a vehicle that has frameless doors.
Alcantara at the inside of the doors, then carbon fiber inserts here as well. Great build quality and lovely sporty features like these RS5 entry badges. And big RS logo on the floor mats. Yes, that's what we want to have. And of course, my favorite feature, the Alcantara steering wheel. I see the comments coming, yeah, it's not durable and so on. Trust me, it's more durable than you think, and there are also cleaning tips for Alcantara steering wheels, and you will enjoy it every single moment you drive it. Better grip, it's not cold in winter, it's not sweaty in summer, it's just awesome in a sporty vehicle. Every racing driver uses an Alcantara steering wheel, and there's a reason for that. Then the seats usually also come or start with Alcantara on the inside. You should also stick with that. Here with this stitching, or the special honeycomb structure. It looks somewhat cooler, but it's not that comfortable to sit on when it's from animal skin. These are the integrated RS seats. In an S5, you could still get one with separated head restraints. These seats are more comfortable. Here, they are already quite stiff, but yeah, more or less okay. Now getting inside, and you know one of my rules when entering one of my vehicles is you always have to use a shoe tap to keep the floor mats clean. I'm always cleaning the floor mats like all over the place. Yeah, I know, maybe also weird again, but that's how I treat the cars. Then seating position here, when I put it in the lowest position with 1.86 m or 6'1", still leaves headroom. When you go for the panoramic roof, you have a little less headroom, but still sufficient. Steering wheel control, in, out, up, down, a super smooth process. This is, to me, one of the most important details in build quality. When you adjust the steering wheel and it gives you a great feeling, you immediately think, that's a well-built vehicle. Yeah. What do you guys think? Interior overview, soft touch here, but here a little bit of mixed elements and styling and gaps. That can be done better meanwhile, I think, but cool build quality here. The carbon fiber inlet, Quattro logo, and my favorite clicking sounds, climate unit elements. This is my all-time favorite AC unit ever. I hope it never goes away, but we've seen it. Sometimes it will maybe go away and be a touchscreen also. I hope it won't. This is really so straightforward, but so high class in how it feels, and also with the metal knurling around. Here then with this hovering function. So yeah, that's also a fancy detail for sure. Drive select in the lower part. So to select this one while driving and change the driving mode, yeah, could be better, but again, great build quality. The cool thing here, however, with the RS, we have an RS mode at the steering wheel, and then we can pick RS1 or RS2, and you can adjust them. And for example, set here in this case, it makes sense. RS1 mode is the drive system is still balanced, suspension also, steering is more dynamic, engine sound is already more pronounced, and so on. But then in the RS2 mode, and again you can individualize it, everything is set on the most dynamic and sportiest function. I think that's a very logical thing to put it that way. Shifting pedals here behind the steering wheel, that's cool. Volume control on the steering wheel. Soon more details to the digital instruments. You start with 7-inch smaller screen and analog dials. These are the full 12.3-inch digital instruments. And here, since the facelift in the middle part, you've already seen a 10.1-inch screen. New one with touchscreen. The MMI knob is gone in the middle part, but you can easily reach it here, and there's a good menu structure. Also soon more deals to that. Lower part with USB-A supply, 12-volt power supply, start-stop button as well. And then adaptive cup holders, so small cubby hole right here. And you have this converter automatic gearbox shifting lever with a nice Alcantara covering. And for the passenger, if it's like, Thomas, your music is too loud again, then the passenger can tune it down. Maybe they should leave this knob, right? Then here the armrest, soft covering. You put it up, and then there's USB-C supply now and an inductive charging mat. Then the infotainment system. I really like it because it's a straightforward menu structure, not too much BS in this menu, and you have the vertical menu to easily access everything else. Here, once again, the car menu up close. For example, with the RS monitor you have here, where we see a lot of details, but yeah, usually probably you would leave it in this one, that you can see the driving modes, or if you select one of the RS modes, here when I selected the steering wheel once again, then hotkey to the Apple CarPlay on the left side. This is definitely very helpful, and this B&O optional sound system is really cool, I can tell you. And this is, by the way, one of my all-time favorite trance songs. You should tune into that. I just love this song, and I love this sound system. Awesome. Really, really cool. I would recommend it. Once again, back to the Apple CarPlay menu. It's a good integration, and I think, once again, straightforward menu. Yes, the MMI knob is gone, but you can very well live with this touchscreen system. The rear view camera is so far so good in one way, but in another way, the resolution meanwhile could be better. Now getting on the inside, in the rear, and whoa, this was close. We have it in slow-mo. Oh wow, that was really close. that's the thing about the sporty looking vehicles. However, if you think about the comparison to the RS5 Coupe, here the thing is, I can still sit here. Again, remember, this here 2.5 inches or 6 centimeters longer in the wheelbase than the Coupe. Not only in overhang, real the wheelbase, and that's why I can sit here, whereas it's not possible in the Coupe. So, and it's more or less okay. It's of course a little cozy here, sporty seating position, but also headroom-wise, it works for tall adults. So this car is indeed for tall adult proof. Soft touch at the inside of the door, and again the nice Alcantara. So once again, top in the build quality. And we have Isofix at the outside of the seats, and we have these cup holders, which are really massive, can be folded out like this. Middle console, 2 USB-A chargers, and also a rear climate unit. You can also get rear seat heating. In the trunk, the cool thing here with the Sportback is this fastback opening, so very good access, and you can see here no problem with the cabin trolley. Already folded one of the seats. There's also ski hatch available. Underneath some more space, and they put the battery here in the lower back part for the balancing reason, for the weight. And then here the normal length is just a little over a meter or a little over 40 inches, and the width the same, almost just a little under a meter or under 40 inches, and the height here to the cover we are at 20 inches or about 50 centimeters. So really a very well usable sports vehicle. And you can see how wide it really opens. And child safety test. Yeah, that's also very well done. And here, once again, really very well accessible, almost like driving in an estate. There is also the RS4 estate, of course, that would be, the other choice. But here I think a good compromise between coupe look and RS4 alike practicability. Welcome to Thomas's Active Driving Lounge with the Audi RS5 Sportback today. Soon the comparison, the RS5 Coupe versus the BMW M4. Here then we can use the Audi Drive Select, but of course in this case RS mode at the steering wheel, and it's not too wet yet, so we can even use the RS2 mode, of course. Please don't attempt, and we'll start at 35 kilometers an hour and see how it goes. That's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Holy mother of... Phew. That is awesome. And I mean, it was of course kind of extreme, but at the same time so calm and collected. And now here at 200 kilometers or 125 miles an hour, lane change like nothing. Suspension is set on a stiffer tone. And I mean, wow. Noise installation is still quite good. Not, of course, a comparable level to an Audi S8 we had recently. But wow, how much I'm controlling of this vehicle. This is a pure driving machine. And now, hard on the brakes here. Yeah, whoa, what a braking performance, awesome. Actually, the brakes were almost more impressive than the acceleration even, so that was really super cool. We have the DRC mounted here, as I told you earlier, dynamic ride control, and this means it's not the fixed RS sports suspension, but here it's not adaptive in a way that it really varies in the mode, but you can pick 3 different modes, and these 3 different modes are fixed then. So comfort, auto and dynamic. And when I use the RS modes here at the steering wheel, we are in this fixer or stiffer dynamic mode. And this really brings us more performance here when, cornering and of course keeping it stiff and highway speed and so on. That's really cool, but of course less comfort than in everyday driving life. And I let myself drop back a little bit here so I can lower the window and use also the shifting pedals, show some of the sound. Nice, nice, nice. So this 2.9 liter V6 bi-turbo with the Quattro all-wheel drive, and this is still here the classic Quattro all-wheel drive we all want to have. 40-60% distribution as a standard, and then it varies a little bit, but definitely always rear-wheel bias. Yeah, there are always these remarks here, come on, this understeering, whatever that is. Yes, there is a lot of power also at the front wheels, but
to really feel an understeering with this vehicle, you have to put it on the racetrack, because otherwise the all-wheel drive will just help you to bring the power on the ground. 3.9 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour is the acceleration figure, and I think we could truly reach it. Of course, we weren't starting at 0. Yeah, every lane change is so much fun with this vehicle. This Alcantara steering wheel is awesome, and here getting off the motorway, we'll soon head on again. It feels like nothing. This car feels so stable and situated on the road. It's just pure joy to drive. And to me, always a good thing about the Audi RS models is that they still have some kind of comfort compromise. So if you compare them to Mercedes AMG top models and the BMW M top models, they are even stiffer as for suspension setup and so on. And you might want to have that, but maybe not. So yes, the S5, for example, is still more comfortable, of course, than this one. So the question is, how much comfort? What is your compromise between sportiness and comfort, and in which direction do you want to move it? And it's really like S5, and then the BMW M performance models. Then I would say the light AMG models, C43 and so on. Then the Audi RS. And then the BMW M and the Mercedes AMG 63 model. So like from more comfort to less comfort, and also then into the sportiness. But of course, I'm not missing any sportiness here. I can still drive this car in the RS mode, but then when I go back and release the RS mode and go here to the comfort setting, I mean, you still feel it's a rather stiff, sporty vehicle, no doubt about that. But you can have it in a more comfortable way, and also set, for example, the cruise control here. This is a normal cruise control here in this vehicle. 80k around, 80,000 dollars is like the base price for an RS5, and with all the extra equipment we have in here, about 120. And then we don't have an adaptive cruise control in here. It's like, seriously? You also have to pick that one, even more optional? I mean, the Mazda 3 for like 20k something has this as standard. So seriously, Audi, I think that's not acceptable. On the other hand, you can say when you buy such a more sporty vehicle, you want to have maybe just a normal cruise control, but I don't think that's really true. But leave me your comments to that. So here in the tunnel, once again, also you can see how the illumination at night is. So nice ambient lighting here as well. And let's go into the RS mode once again, RS2 mode also, because this sets everything on the sporty mode. And what happens when we are already at about 80 kilometers an hour, like 50 miles an hour, and accelerate it out. And goodbye, everyone. Hitting the red limiter. Now I'm stopping again 200 kilometers an hour in the corner. Lane change once again. Rain is picking up a little bit, so I have to be careful. This feels like being in the Eifel at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, definitely. Also the rain is fitting to that for sure. And how stable, how much I'm in control of this vehicle, it's phenomenal. It's really awesome. I love this Alcantara steering wheel. It's giving me so much control of the vehicle, so much balance handling. The interface between driver and vehicle is awesome. I have a perfect feeling of the steering command, the steering ratio, and the progressiveness of the steering. So I have a very fine-tuned feeling for what I'm doing. At the same time, I don't have to steer a lot. And that's really helping in both in sporty driving and also controlling this car in your everyday driving life. Because also easy to park this car in and out than with this kind of more sensitive steering. It's not that it would not be comfortable on longer motorway journey with the steering ratio here, but to me it's just perfect. One of the best steerings there is on the market, and it really tells you, go for it in the slalom. Yeah, always pay attention to your passengers, that they don't kill you afterwards. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, that's when you guessed in the RS5. So, and now some countryside driving. Look at that, 90-degree corner and 90-degree steering. I love that. That's how it's supposed to be. And I know there are always these discussions about the Alcantara steering wheels, like, yeah, they are not that durable and so on. And the hell with that. It's awesome, period. So, and even if it would not be that durable, there are cleaning guides for Alcantara steering wheels, no problem. It's more durable than you think, and every second you touch it, you feel it. No matter if in summer or winter, you are enjoying it, go for it, period. So now countryside driving, a little bit more relaxing. I can also, for example, release the RMS mode then, and whew, a little bit more relaxing right there, comfort mode for the suspension. And I could also do things like leaving the suspension in comfort mode, and I say, oh, I want to do like an overtaking maneuver or something, putting the shifting lever here, the central one, back to the, back to yourself, S shifting mode then everything stays as it is. Suspension is more comfortable, but the shifting is just a little more sporty. Gears are turned up higher, shifted down earlier, and of course, as I've shown to you, really nice shifting pedals right here. Go back yourself, maybe to second gear, and then whoa, and this plop from the sports exhaust. Yeah, even that sports exhaust is optional. Talked about this earlier, so that's always the catch. I mean, both with Audi, BMW, and Mercedes, so many options, and you ask yourself, like, at what point do this option list finally end? So that's, I think, I think sometimes also customer rip-off. They should just offer more standard equipment. That would be definitely better. Oh, interesting old Citroen. Youngtimer. I mean, they really had interesting designs back in the days with Citroen, didn't they? Well, yeah, so I really have to say, great sporty driving on the motorway. Such a cool motorway vehicle. If you compare it to the bigger segment like Audi A6, A7, or even the A8, of course here you have somewhat less comfort, but you feel so much more agility, so much more balance handling and less weight. If you ask me Sportback or Coupe, go for the Sportback if you're not only using it alone or with two people, if you need that rear bench. And of course this fastback opening is so practical, so you can have like a estate-alike practicability while having this driving experience here. And it does have a slightly longer wheelbase here, the Sportback, than the Coupe. Yeah, and therefore the Coupe also, feels a little sportier indeed, but it's not the world. It doesn't feel like a completely different car. So in most of the cases, I really have to say the more wise decision is to pick the Sportback, because this car here can still combine so much. Having the animal surface here on the seats, of course, makes it less comfortable when you stick with the base Alcantara option, at least if that's the case in your market, if they offer it. It also will give you a little bit more comfort. And of course, the seats you have in the S5 as standard are more comfortable than the seats you have in the RS5. So at the end of the day, if you ask me, Coupe or Sportback, yeah, I love the design of the Coupe, but Sportback it is. And if you ask me RS5, M4, or then the C63, yeah, really tough decision. We do have, again, the comparison very soon, M4 versus RS5 in the Coupe version. But to me also, this car feels more suitable to a customer that drives it every day. That's also why I would probably lean to that. Yeah. What was that? Was it like this Corsa accelerating on the hill and having wheel spin? I had the impression that way. Yeah, and then what about bigger or smaller vehicle? Here, definitely lighter, more balanced, sportier handling. Then also question what you want to do with the vehicle. So, what a great performance. But of course, as the pinnacle of our driving part, what is still missing? Yes, driving up Autogefühl Peak, and that is to come right now. Oh, there's one more tunnel. What can we do in the tunnel? Oh, there's a tuned MX-5, like a underground MX-5 behind us. Want to give him a show? Let's see if we get a response. Doesn't feel like giving us a response today. I mean, doesn't have to. So, Now we're approaching our famous riding up the hill. We always do that with performance vehicles when we have the chance to in our surroundings. This will be a lot of fun, definitely. So, here we go. Shifting back a gear, I keep it in the manual mode now. So you hear that? I can turn up the gears a little bit higher. RS2 stiff suspension mode. Wow, blop, blop, blop from the exhaust. Now look at that steering. I can really keep my hands on the steering wheel all the time. Great automatic gearbox. Yes, a classic converter gearbox. I just prefer it. Classic all-wheel drive, rear wheel bias, converter automatic gearbox. That's what we want to have, right? And look at how flawless this car is on the road. And I think that's also a difference. I mean, if you want it more extreme, and then get the M3, M4, and the C63 with the pure rear-wheel drive. That is like, you know, the more extreme feeling. But if you like this super balanced feeling, then this is here the vehicle for you. This car is super sporty, but it's one of the smoothest sporty vehicles. That's, I think, the strength of it. So I'll leave you a little bit here to enjoy. And now, how much understeering do we really get? Let's see. Little bit maybe, but I mean, still really cool. Of course, we cannot accelerate it out that much and then have like rear wheel spin, but still. Yeah, it's really very, very well done. What a joyride. And I hope you enjoyed it as well.
And now to our conclusion for today with the Audi RS5 Sportback. I mean, what a design, really awesome to me. One of the most beautiful Audi models overall. And here with the black rings and the black design package, even more sinister look. And of course the Tango Red, really strong color. One of the coolest colors you can pick this vehicle in. Sportback or Coupe? To me, rather the Sportback. Yes, the Coupe looks even sportier, but the Sportback is so much more versatile, especially with this fastback opening. And also, of course, and even more on the interior. You don't have any compromise in driving. It still drives super, super sporty. But the cool thing about the RS models at Audi is that they still deliver you some kind of comfort. And I think they have really found a good compromise. If you want it even more comfortable, go for the Audi S5. This is also a very, very good choice. And if I think about everyday driving life, it would probably also be the better choice. And also price performance wise, this here, as I said earlier, more than 80k somewhat in the entry price and about around $20,000 or euros when you put it in a full spec, even with the additional sporty features. Interior build quality, really awesome. Since the facelift, more with the touchscreen, but you still have a lot of hard buttons left. So I think it's also a good compromise in this respect.
What is the perfect vehicle for the German Autobahn? Maybe the Audi RS6 Performance. We have it here in two different trims for you. In mist black, everything blacked out. Here also the Audi rings. Or the new Do Silver Matte. Pretty spectacular matte color, right? We have it here in the rear. You can see the tail lamp signature, really textile alike. Audi has always followed this kind of like German Bauhaus design, whereas other went into the round directions. Then here we have it all blacked out as well. Here also with the black Audi rings. Performance exhaust here for the RS6. You can always see it when it is in black. And this vehicle also has the additional carbon fiber elements. And here this honeycomb style in the rear. The RS6 has a wider stance than a normal A6 model because of the wider wheel arches. And here from the exterior part, once again, everything really sinister already in the front. Lamps, LED or optional matrix LED with laser light. when you have the laser light, you also have these blue accentuations. The length at 5 meters or 197 inches. And here I picked 22-inch wheels in this almost golden style for you. I think really massive in combination with the black. 21-inch wheels would be standard. 22 then option here also for the RS6 performance. Either you have the adaptive air suspension or the DRC. That is then a suspension that has 3 different prefixes you can select on the infotainment system. The air suspension will give you best comfort. The performance model also comes with the dynamic pack, and that includes, for example, the rear sports differential, and the rear axle steering steers then up to 5 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels. What is missing? The black one from the rear and the dew silver one from the side and from the front. This is really a very unique color, isn't it? By the way, the top speed, 305 kilometers an hour or 190 miles per hour, but only if you have the Dynamic Package Plus. That also includes the carbon ceramic brakes, so that's another option. Yeah, I think that speed we don't even need in Germany. Turning indicators in the rear, here with the cascading effect. And in the front, it looks even more spectacular. Wow, this is awesome, isn't it? There haven't been so many all-new vehicles with Audi, and especially their electrification strategy is a little bit being delayed. We'll of course keep you updated on our channel with the all-new electric vehicles by Audi. But while we are waiting for the all-new EVs, they are making, for example, some special editions, like here the RS6 Performance. Ta-da! 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. And now the main thing about this performance model upgrade. So when you pick the RS6 versus the RS6 Performance, you get not only 600 horsepower, but 630 horsepower. And you move from 800 Newton meters of torque to 850. And the acceleration figure to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour goes from 3.6 down to 3.4 seconds. By the way, is there the same engine underneath the black vehicle? Yes, of course. Yeah, just to have a look at that, how it looks like in contrast. As for the fuel economy, by the way, when you go cruise control motorway, like 1 kilometers an hour, 120 kilometers an hour, 60, 75 miles per hour, then you can score some decent figure around 10 liters on 1 kilometers, 23 mpg US, 28 mpg UK. Of course, when you use all that power, then it will go up with the liter figures, but down with the mpg. Car key with RS badge and door closing sound. That's nice, and I love the sound of a matte paint on the exterior. And it, by the way, cleans itself very well when it's raining. That's also cool about matte paints. Just when you have scratches, you cannot polish them. That's the downside. Then inside of the doors, we have the microfiber use here. It's also soft plush at the back part, for example. Then we have here these carbon fiber insets. It's not painted on top, so you can really feel it actually. And my favorite is the microfiber steering wheel. I just love the grip, and it's, warm in wintertime and cold in summertime. And then you have these sports seats. These are here in animal skin, and you have different color packages here. You can also get microfiber here for the RS6, at least in Europe. And here, a different design pack. In this case, all the contrast stitches are in red. Yeah, that's what you always have to do here with so many screens and also these high gloss areas. So a lot of high gloss black. I don't like that much. So many fingerprints and the dust and so on. But this screen split here is actually quite cool with the infotainment system on top and the climate unit in the lower part. It's easy to control, although I always prefer the physical buttons, like here for the volume one. You still have one. Then you have the cup holders here. They are also adaptive. Oh, sound. Then microfiber covering for this armrest. Underneath, USB-C chargers, also inductive charging pad. And the seat comfort itself is actually quite decent. With the microfiber, it's a little bit cozier, I feel also. And then here, headroom with 189 or 602, enough left. Here we also have the microfiber ceiling from the inside. I also appreciate here the manual volume jog at the steering wheel. And on the left side here for the instruments, RS button with nice clicking sound. You can easily activate the RS modes, which you can individualize, for example. Here, and then it also changes the styling, and you can also change the whole styling of the instruments. Here, Audi Virtual Cockpit. Then you, for example, switch to RS Sport, and you more have this round gauge, or you can go for the RS Performance. And if you are going to these RS modes, then you have this runway thing, like drag strip alike. And also for the head-up display, you have this racy view. rear doors with microfiber inserts as well. And the comfort here is actually pretty decent. Also the headroom, no problem for tall adults. Legroom as well. Yes, the platform doesn't give you the best dimension from exterior length to interior space. That's more than enough. Huge middle tunnel. There you have a climate unit. It is also hashtag capacitive BS. However, it has some clicking fake thing that almost sounds like you would click something you could turn. And now I'll take my Dark Saber to measure the trunk here. Electric hatch, of course. Well, the Dark Saber didn't hold for too long, right? Here in the length, 115 in meters or 45 inches. And the width is a little bit more than a meter or 40 inches. Very well usable. That's the thing about the RS6. It is basically a race car on the Autobahn, at the same time a versatile family estate. And while we're here in Spain, like outside of Girona, so in Catalonia region, to show you these vehicles with summer tires and these beautiful, golden like 22-inch wheels, I had to just take this chance and also to produce the video here in a nice environment, so on great scenery. Driving this one has to be on the German Autobahn. So I would say, let's go. All right, German Autobahn. And the good thing is I don't have to work around on the drive select below here. I just press the RS button. There we go. Need a little bit more push. And then I'm automatically in the RS mode. Everything is set. Let's go. Did I just say that? Sorry about that. That was already 120. Woo! Yeah, I mean, you have this note there. And here in the performance version, instead of 3.4 seconds in the acceleration from 0 to 1 kilometers an hour, 0 to 62 miles an hour, 850 Newton meters of torque instead of 800 Newton meters, 630 horsepower instead of 600 horsepower. So there is this little notch more you feel there in the push in this RS6 performance version. It's not that it would be a completely different vehicle, but this little notch you have more. By the way, talking about little notch, maybe see here this blue design package in this different vehicle we have here, 2,900 euros for this carbon fiber blue stitching and the blue seat belts and so on, and the blue contour stitches on the inside of the steering wheel. Yeah, that's what you can do then if you want to spend a little bit more money. And that was like 100 to 160 kilometers an hour, just instantly. And you feel that the Lia meter is going all the way to the top. Yeah, that's I love that.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the video. Definitely. Wow. Alcantara steering wheel, or Dynamica microfiber. In this case, Dynamica is a different company. So microfiber steering wheel, also giving me the best control and grip. And I have set it here that in the RS1 mode, everything is set to the sporty mode except for the ESC. One more press, RS2 mode, then the ESC is also at sport. What I would not recommend here on public roads, and especially not when it's a little bit wet here. But actually you saw that the acceleration, not that I would recommend you to repeat it at home, but here the all-wheel drive system gets the power to the ground so well. 40-60 is the usual distribution, 40% in the front, 60% in the rear. Up to 85% in the rear is possible actually with that all-wheel system. But it's like a standard quattro all-wheel drive and a little bit flexible, but you always have a clear rear wheel bias, but still hooking up so well. And even though it's kind of loud outside as for the noise, with the water and so on, it's still such a relaxing ride when you have not set the RS mode. This is just the perfect Autobahn vehicle. It gives you so much confidence, such a great stance on the road. That's amazing. And we'll soon switch the mode away and also do like a really nice corner then for that. And just being in the comfort suspension mode, look at that. Like a lane change is so effortless and it's so much fun. There's so much precision from the steering. You exactly know what you're doing here. Every small movement in the steering is transported to the road. At the same time, it's comfortable enough At lower speed, the rear axle steering here plays a big role, so it has a relatively narrow turning circle, although it's a large vehicle and such a sporty one. I just love driving this one. It is to me one of the best Autobahn vehicles, definitely. Of course, I would also like to have the microfiber seats. That would give you a little bit both more comfort and sportiness at the same time. Not equipped with this very vehicle. You've maybe seen it here on the front hood. This is a third vehicle we have, like the third different RS6 in that video. This one here is Floret Silver. Also very striking color for this vehicle. And what is this meaning? Yeah, wasn't probably quite sure if to go right or left, but we'll stay here and now switch. By the way, if you want to use assistance systems, no problem at all. Here's separate store column on the steering wheel, and this one is also equipped with active lane keeping assist, and you can easily activate or deactivate it here with the press just with the left index finger, and that's it. And the assistance systems are really flawless, and the user interface is still so easy. You know, even though I control the temperature here on the screen, it's relatively easy. Now going back to the RS mode, yeah, I think the first time I didn't press it hard enough, although it did a clicking sound. And then here, switching the motorway, of course, I'm a little bit careful with that road here, but still hooking up so well. Wow, this effortless acceleration out of the corner. It really feels like nothing, and we're doing this corner here with 80 kilometers an hour, and it felt like we were standing still almost, you know. So awesome. You feel this flawlessness and this smoothness at the same time. And now we're doing the next acceleration on the motorway, a little bit careful and exiting the corner, going straight. Then let's see, no one is there, and we can hammer it once again. There we go. Holy moly. And that's 180 kilometers an hour. Wow. That's just awesome. I had to cancel that for safety reason. Let's see it further, but wow. And I mean, look at these conditions outside, and this vehicle is still performing that well. Most important thing when going high speed on the Autobahn is always keep enough distance. There are always some jerks who think like, oh, this guy is going slower, so I'll overtake him on the right, which is not allowed in Germany, and then cross again into the safety distance. You know, but yeah, you just have to ignore that and still keep your distance, because, as I said, going fast, the most important thing is keep a lot of distance, because there can always be something, you know, even if you're doing everything right, something unexpected can happen at any time. So this is the most important thing here when going fast. And I actually feel that going quite fast, but then, you know, constant and with enough distance is, to me, often safer actually than going a little bit slower and constantly changing, like overtaking, back again, overtaking, back again. Because when changing lanes, this is usually like two things that are, you know, most dangerous here. Changing lanes all the time and not keeping enough distance. These are like two main risk factors. This is like, you know, this shit is going all the time. I'm keeping the distance, people are not driving that fast, then you think, oh, I'm overtaking on the right, and then you know, crossing maybe just to the left and so on. Yeah, but can't do anything about that. Only just hit the throttle when you have the freeway again. And even if you just slightly accelerate, you don't even feel the speed, because this vehicle gives you so much confidence, you know. And being this estate style, does it feel a big difference to the RS7? They're more or less driving the same and in the very same awesome way. It's just that you have a little bit more practicality here. So now also brake control, really nice, reducing to 120, really nice. Wow. I can just say the number one word for this car is absolutely effortless. Effortless is the word for this vehicle here on the German Autobahn. Now exiting here, or switching again to another Autobahn number. This is also a very awesome corner. Again, I'm paying attention to the road conditions today, so I'm not racing it that much, but I mean, I'm saying that, and it's still going so quick because it gives me so much confidence. Of course, laws of physics at some point still apply, so we have to Be careful with the street conditions, but wow, beautiful. Oh, you know, this slight growling there from that V8 engine, 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. Then here out of the corner once again. So what I usually even more like is not flooring it all the way out, but just this, you know, using it maybe even at low RPM and then just slightly growling out of the corner. That is also something that really spices up everyday Autobahn life. One of the most desirable Audi models receives an upgrade. This is the Audi RS7 Performance. Some tweaks in design, under the hood, more power, and also some trim and rework, suspension setup, and so on. We'll tell you all about it with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the really impressive front, already a little bit wider. This RS7 than the standard A7. Here LED and optional the Matrix LED with laser light function, even available in the US, although the high beam range is a little bit restricted then. This beautiful color is called Nardo Grey, a very popular Audi color indeed, and it fits very well to the RS7. But we also have a Ascari Blue matte vehicle for you here today. Just as a contrast, that also looks pretty impressive, doesn't it? Audi rings in the front, either the classic styling, or you can also get blacked out ones if you want a more sinister look. Turning indicators in the front, already with the cascading effect, and wow, look at this segmented view. That looks amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, come closer to see the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. Really a beast of an engine, now at 630 horsepower, so 30 horsepower increase, and also at 850 Newton meters of torque. It's actually now a little bit quicker in the acceleration, soon more to that. Already visually looks quite impressive, doesn't it? 8-speed automatic converter gearbox. Around 5 meters or 197 inches in length, actually a little bit longer than a standard A7 because of the spoiler overhang. It starts with 21-inch wheels. These are the optional 22-inch wheels. These are the normal brakes, but they're already bigger in dimension. Option, you can also get the carbon ceramic. Also have it once again here with the matte Ascari Blue vehicle for you. And that one also has the matte gray mirror caps, but you can also go for this black package and have black mirror caps, or in carbon fiber, that would also be possible. The side profile already really beautiful here with the A7, or in this case the RS7. They've worked on the center differential of the quattro all-wheel drive. It's a standard classic quattro all-wheel drive, 40-60 standard distribution. And in most markets, the rear axis steering is already standard. They also worked on the suspension setup. You have two choices: air suspension, which is already a little bit lower, and also the DRC. Then you have 3 fixed settings for the suspension. Overall a stiffer ride. It's up to you which one you go for. Can we take 5 seconds and just enjoy the 3/4 rear perspective of this car together? Beautiful, isn't it? I love this view. It's my favorite one of the A7 in general. And here once again with the RS7, you can see the wider wheel arches, both front and the rear. It's also the same here, of course, for the performance model. This one is equipped with the optional sports exhaust. You can see when you have this black tip around, inside then a split, and here then the black contrast to the Nardo Grey color. The light strip goes all the way through, pretty cool. I like it, by the way, definitely with the bright Audi rings and not with the dark ones. Acceleration figure now at 3.4 seconds. Before it was 3.6 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. So a little bit quicker indeed. And the top speed is 280 kilometers an hour, or optional 305 kilometers an hour. That's 190 miles an hour with the optional dynamic package plus. Yeah, but even in Germany, hardly ever you will reach that speed. And turning indicators, cascading style, looks pretty fancy, doesn't it? RS badge on the key fob. Pretty cool, isn't it? I like that key fob really. And this is here one of the rare cases where we have frameless doors, this coupe style, but at the same time a cool door closing sound. And this is something that hardly anyone achieves. However, you can also use here the optional soft close function. Then inside of the doors with the RS7 Performance, we have a lot of microfiber use here from the Dynamica company. In this case, here. That's actually pretty cool. And I like it also how the clicking sounds are here at the inside window door levers. This is still the classic approach, not too much #capacitive BS. Then the interior, we have here the red RS design package. There's, for example, also a blue one available. You can pick it according to your liking, and I like especially the steering wheel here with the microfiber. Seats in Germany, for example, we could also get microfiber on the inside of the sport seats here. In the US, only the animal skin is available, sadly. These seats give good support. However, you could also basically downgrade to the comfort seat. Then you have a little bit more open space. That would also be possible. Then with 189 or 602, still a lot of headroom left. This one here, closed roof, and all the way also with a nice microfiber. This interior cockpit overview to me shows how you can combine the new world with the classic good user interface here. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless or wired, touchscreen, lower part, touchscreen also for the AC. However, for a touch solution, relatively easy to control. And then manual volume jog right here. On the steering wheel also real buttons. So it is a mix, and that's fine with me. On the dashboard, a beautiful microfiber use. I really like it. However, as an alternative, you can also get this carbon fiber like mesh, blue contrast with the blue design package. Steering wheel with the microfiber, really best grip. And here with this dent on each side. Actually better grip than for the hand in this position. And these shifting pedals, really high class. And not to forget the small head-up display. Instruments can be classic like this, or RS performance gauges, or the RS runway. And then you have a drag style. And important that you can always configure your RS button. And here RS1, RS2, you pick your individual settings, and they are then activated when you hit the hotkey. Here for RS1, then or for RS2, maybe make that one the sportiest or something. The infotainment system has these really large tiles, so easy to control actually. And I always deactivate the haptic feedback, so I can just click it like I do on a smartphone. And the other alternative would be that you really have to click and hammer it, but I like it in the easy, normal way. Microfiber on the rear shifting lever, cup holders next to it, just too much black piano lacquer, I think. Then here the microfiber armrest. This is properly fixed when you put it front and back. With the Cayenne recently in the EU version, we had a problem that it automatically goes forward. And then when we open it, more space, and now 2 USB-C chargers. Rear seating, we know there's not too much space considering the size of the vehicle. By the way, here, this is the way the window goes down in the rear maximum. Of course, we can put that high like that. And let me just take a seat. Behind the seat as I would be driving as a tall driver. It does fit with 4 tall adults, but that's about it actually. And also headroom, even though it doesn't look like it, I can also sit here in the rear. It works. What I love about the RS7 is that it has this fluent, beautiful form. At the same time, it is as versatile as an estate because you have this fastback opening, really wide, very well accessible, 115 in meters or 45 inches in the length, and you can have 1/3, 2/3 fold, but you can also just fold the middle part here, and you have a vast trunk area. And then there's this covering part of the trunk. You can release it here and then pull it. That way you could look through, or maybe when you want to transport something even bulkier. But overall I think it's a good idea to cover that one, that even when you close the whole fastback hatch, so you can see when this one goes down, goes here and then covers everything. And this counterpart you could also take out completely, like here. Whoa! The So this was the evil part, because you can secure it like this, but then it's not like really properly closed. The key is to really push it in there and then turn it around. Now it's properly safe. Launch control. Woo! Yeah, that was like 0 to 50 miles an hour. Easily done, so easy. And yeah, she had fun as well. You heard it. Wow, that is really like a lift off, like, yeah, spaceship or like airplane or something. And the car suddenly feels so light, although it is actually a large and heavy vehicle. Wow, really impressed by that. And here, especially there, you also feel this effect of putting even a little bit more performance out of this model here with that special performance pack. 0.2 seconds quicker in the acceleration figure to 62 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour. Woo! Really amazing indeed. And the handling here also in the Benz is just amazing with that steering. Great grip on the Alcantara steering wheel. Yeah, in that really stiff mode of the air suspension, you do feel some feedback from the road. Of course, you can go to the comfort mode at any time. First comment, air suspension versus the DRC. You can pick both. DRC is a fixed suspension that can be set to 3 different stiffness modes. It does not work like a DCC that it rules between these modes and has a span, but there are 3 different presets. And you have an even stiffer, sportier feeling with the air suspension. Definitely would recommend you to go for that one, because the air suspension gives you more flexibility, and when you go to the comfort mode, it gives you the everyday cruiser and you have a lot of comfort, although you have this rocket right there, accessible at any time. And that was 50 miles per hour. Pretty quick. Really good from that all-wheel drive. You have standard 40-60% distribution, and when you really hammer it through, you can also get even more, up to 85% in the rear, up to 70% actually in the front when you have rear traction loss. And yeah, you've maybe seen the reaction of the passenger. Sorry for that, because there was another speed limit coming up, and then I really had to hit the brakes, and these are not the carbon ceramic brakes we have here, but of course they are bigger than normal ones you have on a normal passenger car. And they are really hammering all the way in. So, but you have a good feeling for that, you know, and that's also what I actually prefer in a way if you compare it to the carbon ceramic brakes, because on the racetrack, of course, they are always better. But in normal driving life, I prefer the non-carbon ceramic brakes, because these ones here, they react a little bit quicker and they just give you, to me, a finer feeling. So both, of course, will be fine and both will deliver great braking performance, no doubt about that. Here in the S shifting mode, gears are turned up, higher from the RPM. You shift down earlier. Dynamic driving mode, we have the air suspension here. That means it's going a little bit stiffer, but still not uncomfortable at all. But they have also worked on the suspension setups and make this span a little bit wider. So, for example, when we go to the comfort mode, everything relaxes a little bit more and the suspension is a little bit softer. So, although this is an RS model, it can be an everyday cruiser. That's also the thing about Audi RS models. If you compare it, for example, to the 63 AMG models with Mercedes and the true BMW M models, the Audi RS models are always a little bit more comfortable than their BMW and Mercedes counterparts. And that's maybe something you seek, or maybe something you don't seek, but I feel these cars are all being driven every day, and it should be also a primary driver, especially in this configuration here. And I think then that is actually a good choice. I really like the steering input. That is awesome. So you see here, I don't have to do much work on the steering wheel. I still have enough of resistance. This is the classic stuff I really appreciate from the vehicle. A real good driver-focused interface from the steering, shifting pedals. I can also always use manually here, no problem. Wow, yeah, wonderful feedback from the engine. They've increased the torque and this 0.2 seconds quicker also in the acceleration. Do you feel that? Yeah, maybe a little bit. It's not a reason to buy this one here now if you already have an RS7. That's not the case. But still, it leaves a little bit more little bit more crispy, sporty focus here. So they've done a lot of setup work here and definitely think it pays off. But to me, the best thing is still that it combines basically racing and sportiness. And this nice steering here, you can use it for both. You see, it is really precise. It always does what you want to do. And although this is a large and kind of heavy vehicle, it always invites you to do some more slalom driving. And yeah, that just feels beautiful. Very noticeable, by the way, how you note, how you hear, how you perceive the engine. So what they've done here is saving 8 kilograms, or around 16 pounds of weight, by giving away the insulation to the engine. That means you hear the engine more in this vehicle. In the comfort mode, it's relatively silent. But as soon as you go to the dynamic mode, for example, then for example also shift down. Wow, it almost feels the car would be lifting off the road like a spaceship. And even more so, of course, in the RS driving modes where you can put it even sportier. And you just hear so much more from that engine. So it is, yeah, you lose a little bit of noise insulation comfort, but you buy an RS model actually to achieve that. So to hear more from that engine. That's also something they've done here with this new performance model iteration. Here the drag strip mode is also available in the RS driving mode, and wow, there's such an instant reaction when you hit the throttle. Great. And at the same time, when you go back to the comfort mode, you go from beast to everyday comfortable cruiser. That's the cool thing. So the overall handling and feeling of this car is superb. You feel that it is a very evolved vehicle. It is due to the end of its life cycle very soon, yes, but sometimes this is exactly a reason to go for the vehicle, to get it when it's really finally developed. One more acceleration in the RS mode. Whew, that was a little bit of preloading. Whew, that is defo liftoff.
The Audi S8, one of the weapons from the Audi lineup, the top luxury sedan in the sportiest setup. As you know, exterior, interior and the sporty driving experience. Enjoy it in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. In the front you can see the huge Audi single frame grille, the S8 then with the sporty badge, stronger contrasting lower area. This is here the chrome contrast to the Navara blue. I think it also fits better. However, you could also go for a black pack for a more sinister look. LED headlamps are standard, optional. The matrix LED with laser light function, which is also equipped with this vehicle. And taking a look here at the turning indicators or hazard lights, of course in the spectacular cascading style. The length is either at 5 meters 18, 17 foot or 204 inches short wheelbase, or the long wheelbase version, which is standard for the US, 5 meters 30, 17 foot 4 or 209 inches. Here we have a European model with a short wheelbase. You can see that the rear door is not that long actually. Then the wheels would come 21 inch as standard in the US, but here we have the 20 inch with winter tire still and with the optional carbon ceramic brakes. And wow, once again, what a great contrast here to the Navara blue color, and also with the contrasting side mirror caps. A beautiful, elegant design, also with this falling roofline right there. Look at these color nuances right there. And interesting design lines here above the door handle. Here it's actually inside the door handle, but then
two more are forming right there for some stronger shoulders. So a very elegant styling. This is the top luxury sedan in the sports styling, but not over the top, definitely. Air suspension is standard here for the S8 with the sportier setup, soon more when driving that vehicle, of course. Rear axle steering is also standard for the S8 to give you even more agility at lower speeds in the smaller turning circle and turning in the same direction in the front wheels at a higher speed for more stability. In the rear we can see once again elegant styling here, interesting signature for the tail lamps, and the light strip goes all the way across the vehicle. Interesting that the A8 in general, by the way, if you look at the rear from the side, is more like this, whereas the A6 is more upright and the A7 goes more like this, so they differentiate in the 6, 7 and the 8. Pretty interesting. The S8 with the sporty badge and with the contrast in lower part, honeycomb style in a small way right here, and 4 massive exhaust tips for this 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. And by the way, the rear differential lock is also standard for the S8. And we also have here the cascading indicators at the rear. And under the hood here we have a 4-liter V8 bi-turbo in the S8 with 571 horsepower. 3.8 seconds is the acceleration figure. And the all-wheel drive distribution, a classic quattro all-wheel drive, 40% in the front, 60% in the rear is a standard distribution, and maximum would be 85% in the rear and maximum also 70% in the front, so it's also a little bit varying. Car key, S badge at the other side. Here we go. Then first of all, door closing sound. Ooh, nice, very solid. And have you seen that? Here, the car lifted up because I opened the door, the air suspension put it up. And also an option, door closing with a soft close. Really cool. And I mean, this lifting up of the air suspension was really quick as well for better entry level. Then everything stretched tightly, carbon fiber design, then a bright microfiber, that's beautifully done. The door handles here, they open from the lower part and just a little bit because there's also, you know, a help to get out of the vehicle, so the door automatically opens a little bit. Optional B&O sound system, great 3D sound, and then this S interior, or the S8 steering wheel and with the badge, huge 2 openings. We know that from the normal A8. The seats, they come here with the sport seats with the S stamping. In Europe, you could also go back basically to the normal comfort seat. That's possible. In US, only the sport seat here available. And sadly for the S8, so far only with animal skin. In the Audi e-tron GT, there's more progress for animal-free materials. Then getting inside, this is really great comfort here. So the seat form itself is really awesome comfort. And when I put the seat all the way down with one with A6 or 6 with 1, plenty of headroom. I usually put it up that it's a little bit more upright. I have better seating comfort than electronic support here for the steering wheel, up and down, in and out. Takes a while, but it's also a good and smooth process, and yeah, really a place to relax. The thing is that when you think about, yeah, you found this car so cool, you don't really need the space in the rear, and you want it a little bit cheaper. Indeed, if you think about an Audi A6 or Audi A7, and they're also available in the S models then, for example, or in sportier models, in the front, they are not too different indeed. So if you're driver focused, you will also be fine with the A6, S6, S7, A7, you know, won't make such a difference seating-wise in the front. Screens, screens, screens. 12.3, 10.1, 8.6. But the funny thing is, although it's screens all over the place, the user interface is the best screenish interface we know. Why? It's still straightforward.
soon we show you with all the details of the screens. Rest of the interior, you see here, stretched horizontally. This, well, you can serve food theoretically, if you would be allowed to serve food in a vehicle, which is never allowed. Yeah, sorry, my rule. Then here, ambient lighting, beautiful, especially at nighttime driving. Our nighttime drive will, of course, also commence soon. Then the Quattro logo, the glove box, and a little bit overlapping right here. Such a clean design layout, definitely. Steering wheel here with volume control on the right side, left side to control the digital instruments, and also more about that soon. These screens can also interact together a little bit. For example, if you're in a GPS and search for an address, then the lower part becomes either the keyboard here, or you can, like write, like here, Berlin. Sorry, that's, yeah, the car, here, the car could read my terrible handwriting. Thank you, S8. So this will be possible, of course, also with the voice control. Then here in the lower part, you can activate the camera system, for example, and the camera system also has this 3D view. That's always spectacular. Oh, they didn't go for the blue color here. That would have been a cool detail, wouldn't it? Then here in the lower middle console, we have the automatic shifting lever with the carbon fiber cover. That's fancy. And cup holders are hidden here, adaptive. And then we have this armrest, and you can either put them up a little bit like this really practical for driving, or then lift them up completely. But here there is like this, I'm not sure, that doesn't sound right, It's the only thing I find here in the interior which doesn't sound right. Also here, and when you put it all the way up, then you have space for your phone. Also wireless for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Then you can also use the inductive charging pad. And the chargers here, 2 times USB-A. Now the digital instruments, they're very clear to read, also with a sporty styling. Then here, left side, you can have the map, but you can also switch what you want to see. Like there's here also the nighttime view, for example. Oh, by the way, this consumption here, this was with high-speed driving, like too fast driving. So more to the normal consumption while driving, of course, or the minimum. Here, map all over the place. It's also possible. So, yeah, one of my favorite virtual instruments. Head-up display with the current speed, loud speed, and also some assistant systems info. If you have a route set, you'll also have some guidance from the GPS there. Top screen then, I think a very straightforward, normal main menu. And on the left side, you can also have this as a hotkey. So, for example, when you are in the GPS, the great satellite view, the CPU power is also way than enough here, so they do not have a problem with the laggy infotainment system. And then I always put the Apple CarPlay hotkey here on the left side, and then I can also play my music. And I can tell you this B&O Bang & Olufsen sound system here it's just super amazing. It's an absolute joy to drive this vehicle and listen to it. Really cool. This is how the Apple CarPlay integration works. Also all over the screen, works very, very well. So I'm really happy with this infotainment system. Lower area, usually I say I want hard buttons for the climate menu, and that's still true. However, for a touchscreen AC unit, it's the best, it's the best buttonless unit, I think, because you can still straightforward reach it either with this sliding or putting plus minus. It's still easy to use while driving. And let's say you're a passenger, changes the temperature on the right side that much. Yeah, sometimes there's a big mismatch then in the feeling of a temperature. And then you want to change it back at some point again, or maybe passenger left the car, then do it like this. Here, this gesture on the screen synchronizes the temperature again. I think a fancy solution. Audi Drive Select is below here, by the way. I usually leave it in the auto mode, but then you can also switch to the dynamic mode right there. And it was always also possible when you leave it in the auto driving mode, but just pull back the shifting lever, you're in the S shifting mode. You also have more boost. Also for the rear doors, we have a soft close. Yay, magic. But that's again an option. And now the difference from the A6 to the A8 is, of course, you have more space in the rear. You have, by the way, here also these
electric shades, quite fancy. And then of course, more space in the rear. This is then the short wheelbase version, told you earlier. In the US version, or when we go for the long wheelbase version in Europe, we have even more rear legroom. However, if you consider the length of the vehicle and then see how much legroom you have here when you are driving as a tall driver, this is of course more than enough legroom. But considering the exterior length, the package on the interior is not that good. The seats are of course very voluminous. So the packaging is not the best, but that's a problem of the segment in general. Headroom, then here with 1.6, 6 with 1, no problem, enough space, and of course a very cozy setup. You can get different luxury setups here, also with electric rear seats, that's all possible. Isofix of course, and here these head restraints, they are really plush and voluminous. In the middle seat you can theoretically also sit, but that's harder thing to do, but it works space-wise. The middle console right here with two 12-volt power supplies. Then you can put down this and split it. Then you have, for example, here this tablet where you can also play around like with the infotainment system, change something of the lights or the sun blinds and so on, change the settings, change the temperature here for the rear. Then here, some more space. We even have a CD changer here in the rear middle. That's quite funny to see. Like here in the middle part. There we go. There it is. Interesting. So, and when we put that up again, here the passenger side, move the seat forward. So this is also an example how you can, be driven. Then of course, even in the short wheelbase version, you have way more than enough space, and can just relax your ride. And by the way, here we also have some cup holders. They are also adaptive. And what's also really funny is that we have here basically also a soft close for this middle console area. Let's see. There we go. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And closed. Now to the trunk. Here we go, electric hatch. Nice build quality here as well. Then the lower part you can lift up. Some more equipment. Side storage. Not too high, of course, typical sedan style. What's interesting here, there is this ski hatch available. You have to go around and then open it from here. There we go. And then the measurements. But first of all, when I put a backpack in here, that you see that easily fits also height-wise. No problem. Then normal length of the trunk. This here, this is a meter. So first of all, better the width. So this is a meter or 40 inches right here, a little bit more narrow towards this area. And the normal length here is also a little bit under a meter or 40 inches. But then we have this step in the trunk. And if you go above the step, this is then 46 inches or 1 meter 17. And last but not least, the height. Here at 21 inches or 53 centimeters. Here we go. Rear axle steering, awesome. Such a long vehicle, but due to the rear axle steering, really, relatively narrow turning circle. And I promised you something special, told you earlier. We start with this technology feature, and now we head on to the German motorway. That will be just a par with unlimited speed. Nighttime experience here with the ambient lighting, beautiful ambient lighting. Of course, I can't help myself but set it to Thomas Blue right here. Yeah, I mean, this is a really cool experience, especially at nighttime. German motorway, German Autobahn. The A1, by the way. So yeah, the highway number 1 is something very special in the US, and Big Sur is basically my favorite road all over the world, this part at Big Sur. But here the German Autobahn number 1 is also quite special, especially then for our friends from the US to see something like this here. Then the sports rear differential is standard with the S8, the rear axle steering is standard. Now here dynamic mode. We are at 60 kilometers an hour. Let's go.
and now we're at 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. That went pretty quick and super smooth. This is also a very interesting part because we have a bend right here. You see there's also a lot of traffic, but I mean 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, and it feels like nothing in here, literally. This is like a lower noise level than in some other cars at 80 kilometers an hour or like 50 miles an hour or something. So this is like a lower noise level at, you know, in some other cars at 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour or something. So incredible noise insulation, and it's such a smooth experience. The only thing you maybe realize at the get-go, the car took a while to shift down first with the kick down. It's just that it's, even when you're in sport mode, it's putting higher gears to keep the consumption rather low. So S shifting mode and dynamic mode, the sport is experience. You can always boost it yourself with shifting down yourself with the great shifting pedals. I mean, I'm here at 150 kilometers an hour, and now I shift back twice. And 200 again. So you've seen I went from 7th to 5th gear, and then you have the absolute super flawless acceleration, because when you shift down yourself first, you immediately have the right RPM set. So that's making this car then even quicker. And wow, incredible performance from this 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. You also have the MF system here now, the mild hybrid system. Of course, when you drive so high motorway speeds, it's not, you know, not that low in a fuel economy. But however, in a, you know, mixed average, you can score something 10.5 liters in 1 kilometers. So yeah, that's a little bit more than 20 mpg US and a little bit less than 30 mpg UK. Considering the size and the power of this vehicle, it's still somewhat okay. Even if you are at high speeds here, 100 kilometers an hour, now unlimited speed again. I shift down myself. That was 100 to 200 once again. And have you seen it? I shifted down twice, but then the car went back 2 more gears to, like, we were driving 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, and the car was shifting back to 3rd gear. Yeah, and I think also a nice sound. It's not, you know, it's not annoying or something. It's, I would say, it's not too loud. It's nice, sonorous and subtle, because this is a gentleman's vehicle. It's a gentleman's, well, not sports car, it's a gentleman's sports sedan or sports luxury sedan. And therefore it's also more fitting when there's a, you know, low frequency, very good and interesting sound, but, you know, when it's not exaggerated, you know, let's take it that way. I think that's very important for this vehicle. And I mean, it's absolutely astonishing how well this car sits on the road. Air suspension is standard. In the dynamic mode here, it is stiffer and also lower. The air suspension can change the level, and in the dynamic mode it just goes lower to give you more contact to the road. And it's such a smooth and sporty driving experience. Yeah, I mean, it's at some point beyond description. So this is such a perfect Autobahn vehicle. It's definitely one of the best cars you can drive long-term motorway, no matter if it's fast or slow. It's just incredible, and I hope you really enjoy this experience here together with me, and especially here in this nighttime area. Now we're getting a little lower speed. There's also speed camera being announced. Thank you so much for announcing it first. Really important for this vehicle. Now I'm going back to the Comfort Plus mode. Now the level of the air suspension is raising a little bit. I have more dampening comfort now. And for example, I could stay in this comfortable mode. And maybe at some point, you know, like when I can accelerate here again, I would just want to change the shifting mode. Then I can go to the S shifting mode, but keep the soft suspension mode. just by pulling back the automatic shifting lever and go back again, and I'm in a normal D mode. In the S shifting mode then, it shifts up later, shifts down earlier, but the suspension and everything else is just kept the same. However, if you're in dynamic mode and the suspension is a little bit stiffer, it is still super comfortable. So yeah, this car is always comfortable no matter in mode you are in which mode you are in. But of course, if you drive a little bit faster, the firmer suspension in the dynamic mode also helps you to keep the control a little bit better, and it's also a little bit more fun to drive, than no doubt about that. If you do normal acceleration here, like from 100 to 130 kilometers an hour, like I'm doing right now, just with a slight press on the throttle, you don't even realize that. Therefore, you always have to check the speed, that you don't exceed it. In other cars, you would really feel, like a transition from, whoa, and that, yeah, always have to pay attention to that. Glad he had that blind spot monitor. Yeah, sometimes, I was checking to the right, yeah. Always pay attention to my drive mode. What you see is quite dense traffic, but it's also a realistic scenario. So we have some parts on the motorways where we can drive unlimited, but there's also parts with dense traffic and also with limitations, of course. Then put it into the middle lane, set the cruise control. I can set it to 130 kilometers an hour, which is the current speed. There's also traffic sign recognition, so when the speed is changing, the car will also adapt to that. That's really flawlessly done. Even in advance, this is a so-called predictive assistant for more efficiency in the highest build of the assistance systems packages. And then the car will decrease the speed in advance to be more efficient. And when you are not using the cruise control, you will still get info of that. There will be like a lift your foot symbol in the head-up display, and you also feel it with the two vibrations in the throttle pedal, and that is then signalizing, Thomas, lift your foot off the throttle if you want to be more efficient. And efficiency in Germans, that's our thing, Yeah, at least something we can do good, right? We're not, we're messing up so many things all over the place, for sure. Germans will know. But efficiency is, at least in some parts, at least for cars, sometimes quite on top of the point, yeah. So, back setting the cruise control, and you can just relax then, basically. And then you can also decide if you want this active lane keeping assist or not. And this one is really keeping the car very well in the lane, but you can always deactivate it at any point. Here it's a very smooth thing. You should keep your hands on the steering wheel all the time. It's not nervous, not like left, right. It's really subtle experience that the car is kept on, now please take over steering, direct your attention to the road, evil Thomas. So sometimes always also giving me these false positives, let's call them that way. Blind spot monitor here appearing, really cool, and so helpful to have this one integrated in the mirrors, and then it's also flashing right there when you set the turning indicator. Now even decreasing to 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and I mean it's so super silent in here. Yeah, that's really amazing. And consumption, of course, a little bit higher because of our high speed, but I mean, at some point when you do like cruise control 100 kilometers or cruise control 60 miles, you can even bring this down to 9 liters on 100 kilometers. That's then very well 30 miles, 30 mpg US, or even a little bit more, 30 mpg UK. So it is a very, very efficient 8-cylinder engine, really have to say that. So I'm quite astonished by that. Of course, we rather give you like not the minimum consumption figures, but also more like realistic ones and so on. Really cool when like the motorways go down and up again, and you see on the left side the bright lights, the white lights, and on the right side the braking lights or the normal rear lights. It's always a very cool scenery then for that one. And maybe you also realize how I don't have to raise my voice at all. This is definitely one of the most silent vehicles on the road. And the cool thing here about the S8 is you have more power, definitely, but there's no compromise in the comfort. So let's say you have an S-Class and you go for the S-Class AMG, the difference there. Then you have to compromise on comfort a little bit, because the S-Class AMG is just way sportier, but you also lose some of the comfort. Here, A8 or S8, you will have the very same comfort in the S8, just that it's sportier. Of course, more expensive, even more expensive than the normal expensive A8. So of course pricing is in a way ridiculous for this segment here overall, because at some point it's not so much more expensive for the manufacturers to build this vehicle, but they just get more money from it. Whereas for an Audi A4, Audi makes let's say 1,000 euros pure revenue with that car, something like that, like low 4-digit scale. And with cars like the A8, Audi makes like a high 5-digit figure pure revenue from that. Now speed is a little bit higher again, and I just have to leave my foot on the throttle just a little bit, and then we already get it. And let's go to the dynamic mode once again, 100 to 130. Let's shift back ourselves, 4th gear. Whoa, that was 140 already. No one saw that. Whew, at least that wasn't recorded on camera what I did now. Yeah, but in all seriousness, I always obey the speed limits, because that's the way. I had my driver's license, I made it in 2004, yeah, and I never lost it ever since, and I never got a big fine or something, and that's really important for my job, because it's like with a taxi driver. If I lose my driver's license, I can't work. So that's really important to me. Sometimes you have these situations where you are super unlucky, 100 kilometers an hour, and you say I don't want to waste all the fuel. I want to let the car roll out a little bit more, and then you take 1 or 2 seconds longer that you are on the new speed limit, and then exactly there, a couple of meters before, they put a speed camera. It's really? Seriously? Is that so important now for road safety? We all agree that in front of schools and where there's small kids and so on, speed limits should be really strict and really also controlled in a regular way, if not with fixed speed cameras. Everyone is fine with that, but situations where they just do it, has nothing to do with big safety or something, where you just know they do that because they can collect good money in this position, then it's of course just unfair, I would say. But we should all obey the speed limit. They are there to be obeyed. There's always a reason for that, most of the times. Here now in the traffic situations in the construction lane, it's also a wide vehicle, especially for European taste. So you see, it doesn't really fit with the construction side lanes here. But still, since you have this rear axle steering, it feels more compact than it is. We started the driving part with the rear axle steering, and that really fakes a shorter wheelbase. It feels like it would have a shorter wheelbase, and it drives then like this at slower speeds. The rear axle or the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels, and at higher speeds here they turn in the same direction to give you more stability. And I can just stress again, the rear axle steering is for long wheelbase vehicles one of the coolest technology highlights you can have. It's really awesome, and I would always go for that. Gladly, it's standard here with the S8. What's going on? An accident there or what? Changing the tires? How many people were in this vehicle? It's always funny when you're driving just somewhere, somehow, you see so weird and strange stuff sometimes, and you always have it here on camera. I'm not sure if you could see that from this angle, but we had really interesting situations also caught on camera, and it's always great to see then the comments, with the time code and so on. Or oh, look at this guy at 10 minutes 13 or whatever, or oh look, they are watching. Sometimes I'm talking to you guys and then next to us we have cars that are passing by or standing next to the traffic light. It's like, what's going on there? Is that guy filming? Oh, there's 2 cameras inside. What's going on? And there's so funny situations, but I don't see it, you know. I don't see, because I'm like connected to this camera or look to the front. But then you guys see them, you know, here, and that's so funny situations. Wow. And you can have a very sporty driving experience here with the Audi S8 on the motorway. At the same time, a super relaxed experience, especially then with the upgraded infotainment systems here, top-notch, that Audi has to offer. So I really have to say, it is one of my favorite motorway vehicles. Especially to me, of course, and to more and more people, we care about if animals are being used to put in the vehicle. I think that's something from the past. You can have the very same experience with the same material feel and, you know, the quality and so on, even with pure recycling materials nowadays. So I think they should just do it everywhere, and not only, you know, in special models or on request. It should be standard. No one has to lose anything. No one has to lose any luxury experience. We all just can gain from that. So that would be important to me when I buy an Audi A8 or here the S8. They do not offer it in this car here yet from works. But if they offer that, and I drive motorway for, you know, a lot of times, I would seriously consider this vehicle. You can drive in V8 in an efficient way. That's also cool, especially using cruise control. So if this vehicle would be equipped with recycled seats and you put it cruise control on the motorway, it is not, you know, like not that catastrophical for the environment if you compare it to like a compact hot hatch or something, you know. That's very interesting thing. Sometimes we have hot hatches that are using the same amount of fuel and with down-tuned, very, very small engines, yeah. So many aspects, of course, to talk about vehicles when we drive them, and I mean that's why you are here, you know, because we really go in depth on all the vehicle, and we are car enthusiasts like you are watching, no matter if it's all electric or if they use here the petrol engines, and we see disadvantages and advantages in all segments in all cars, and of course also with all the different drivetrains. So no matter if you go high speed in this vehicle or if you're stuck here in the construction lane, you can always enjoy your ride. And since you have this rear axle steering, it's also possible to drive very well in the city. So really hope you enjoyed our Thomas's nighttime driving lounge special here with the Audi S8 for today. Please leave us your comments. And now to our conclusion for today with the Audi S8. Meanwhile, it's quite chilly and dark outside, and I really hope you enjoyed our nighttime motorway experience, German Autobahn. Well, exterior, I think, really elegant and sporty at the same time. Not overdone, exactly right on point. If you think about the siblings, A6, A7, A8, my design favorite is of course the A7 because of this really striking fastback design, and that's also one of my key points for today. It has been such a great ride, but if you want a little bit cheaper, not cheap in general, but cheaper than the A8 or S8, you can also go for the A6 or for the A7 and have a similar great luxury driving experience in the front. The A8, S8, really, if you also want that chauffeur-like experience in the rear, if you need more or want more space in the rear, if you also want to be driven at some point, maybe drive this car yourself for a pleasure ride at some point, but another day you have to work or something, or use the phone while driving or something and want to concentrate on that and then be driven, then the A8 or the S8 would be the choice for you. Interior is a superb build quality, a digital user interface, but still one that is very well to use. One thing that is missing if you want such a great vehicle but want it more sustainable and want it more animal friendly, we also need animal skin alternatives for this segment here, but Audi is now finally working on that too. Overall, one of the best motorway or Autobahn cars there is. Has been such a great ride. So super comfortable and sporty at the very same time. Impressive vehicle, and said earlier, When you put it to cruise control at a reasonable speed on the motorway, this 4-liter V8 is also indeed quite efficient. Also possible, you know, the consumption figures we scored on the motorway, so some 9 liters minimum on 1 kilometers is actually possible. So that's then very well in the 30 mpg regions. Of course, if you floor it out a little bit more, then more towards 11 liters on 1 kilometers, which is then more like in the 20 mpg regions.
Audi has updated the Q8 family, and this is here the Audi SQ8, the sporty version with the V8 under the hood. And for you, we have an Autobahn special German motorway with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Here, this really large mask is bright in the SQ8. It's, I think, a very cool look. And for the facelift, they've updated the Audi rings. They are now more two-dimensional and also here in bright. You can also get black Audi rings, so depending on your liking. I think this styling here is actually pretty cool. What do you think? Also in the lower part, here these silver contrasts. Yeah, this is really catching also the light when it's coming to the front. News also with the facelift, the headlamps. So the logic there is you have a base LED for the normal Q8. The SQ8 already comes with the first option, the matrix LED, and then even optional for the SQ8 is the HD matrix LED with laser light. It's also equipped here, and you can get different signatures actually for the light. So this is one, and then you can click it through in the infotainment system on the inside and switch to your personal signature, and that works both in the front and also in the rear then with different styling. So this is some kind of new individualization that is possible. The length at around 5 meters, and the SQ8 in Europe gets 21-inch wheels. For the US, 22 inch is already standard, and 23 is the option. Wow, this is really massive. And the thing is that the suspension is actually quite good. We will also experience it in the driving part. But when you drive through potholes, these 23-inch wheels really hurt, you know. So it does give you a sporty ride, but for comfort also in city driving with potholes, you need to get rid of 23-inch wheels and stick with the smaller ones, 21 or at least 22. Yeah, this will give you more comfort indeed. I also like really the bright styling, once again, to the dark blue color. It's a nice contrast. This Vaitomo blue. There's like a cave in New Zealand where they have these glowworms that give actually like a nice blue color. Maybe a little bit lighter even than this one, but yeah, they always try to find very exquisite color names for these. In the rear, new signature as well. And as I said, you can click through different signatures. And this is here the approaching light. So you see the sensors actually pick up if someone is coming. If I'm getting closer, the sensors are recognizing me and saying like, hey, stop, don't come closer. This also works, of course, with a vehicle that's meant to be. It's, I think, a nice idea, because you know at the traffic light that there are these guys who are driving like that close to the vehicle, look in the back mirrors like, you want to drive in my car or what? What the hell are you doing? And this is maybe a good sign of like, stop, go no further. And here the facelifted rings are more two-dimensional once again. Also a chrome delete, and with the white accentuations here. So it's an interesting new fresh styling. I think styling of logos, it goes back and forth in cycles. Sometimes three-dimensional is a new thing, then again two-dimensional is a new thing. Yeah, and at this moment, once again, two-dimensional is the new thing. Technology-wise, very interesting. A Q8 can either optionally be bought with air suspension. The SQ8 gets the air suspension as standard, and also the otherwise optional rear axle steering is standard here. So it goes 5 degrees maximum in the opposite direction in the front wheels. But I feel it doesn't go so good on standstill, or when you're like in the basement garage going back and forth. Doesn't do too much there. I think BMW and especially Mercedes, you feel more of that rear axle steering, especially when they're maneuvering in tight spaces. And then also optionally for the SQ8, you get a rear differential for torque vectoring, that you have more torque on the curve outside wheel, for example. That's like this sports differential. This is one pack together with these red brake calipers, and also an anti-tilt control that keeps the car even more upright when you are fast in the corners and so on. Yeah, and more or less essentially making this something like a Porsche Cayenne. Yes, they are also on the very same platform. Very famous, of course, for Audi are these cascading turning indicators in the high light trims, both in the front and also in the rear. Well, you yourself, you don't see it when you're in the vehicle. It's more like a show for people from the outside.
I know Leah really loves that. And real exhaust pipes here, 4 actually, 2 per side. They also updated here the S logo at the rear. It's a different strategy how they badge it now. For the normal Q8 you get 3-liter 16 diesel and petrol. And here for the SQ8, a 4-liter V8 bi-turbo, 507 horsepower. Yeah, that's more than enough for sure. 4.1 seconds is the acceleration figure to 1 km an hour or 62 miles an hour. Rear wheel biased all-wheel drive. Yeah, the RS8 would be even more powerful, but it's based on the very same engine as well. The key fob, simple and nice. Here the SQ8 has the S badge as well. Then door closing sound is extremely solid, and that is astonishing because it's a frameless door, and we have rarely that still has a good sound. Here's a dual insulation glass, by the way, as well inside of the doors. Here then with a nice grey microfiber. I love that styling. Also clicking sounds here from the window levers, and we have this carbon fiber decal element, which is also nice. The inside of the doors is not covered with felt, just the ground has some like rubber covering that things don't fly all around. That's the warning, like your mobile phone is still in the vehicle. Then here the steering wheel with S logo, Audi rings. These are still real Audi rings you can actually touch, and also the volume knob here, for example, these are real buttons, so I like this more traditional styling. Seats, you either get normal sport seats, at least in Germany, for example, or these here, the S sport seats with integrated head restraint. In other markets like US or UK, they are more standard, and also the animal skin is standard. Here in Germany, I could still order one with microfiber, for example, but not on the UK or the US market, and that's of course a huge downside. They need to offer more animal skin alternatives, which are even better in the features like BMW is doing. That's where Audi is lagging behind. Here 189, 6'2", a lot of headroom left, no problem at all. This one with a closed roof. There is also one available with the panoramic roof, and the steering wheel here up and down in electric way. The ergonomics of the seat is still good. The seat with the separated head restraint would be also a little bit more comfortable, but as I said, not available on all markets. Cockpit overview, I like this clean layout, just not that they have so much high gloss black piano lacquer there. It's a nice integration of the screen, and also when it's off. That is nice, yes, but too much black piano lacquer definitely for my taste. Or what do you think about this? And this split screen, this is one of the rare solutions where a climate unit is via touch but still well executed, so you can click or also swipe, and it's easily done actually because it's separated from the rest, so you can control it also well while driving. My favorite is always, of course, if you can turn or click something. And the sad thing is, Audi, they were the best in the climate unit control with these nice metal nerd clicking commands. I loved it, my favorite AC units, but yeah, they went in another direction with that. But this is still a good solution though. And on the top is the normal infotainment system. You can also use the car internal GPS, but here then the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto would be the standard connection. However, then to connect it actually, this wireless is possible or with the cable, and sometimes you want to just charge with the cable. But here the middle console is actually a very bad solution because you fold it up and then look at that. This huge thing here, and I don't understand why have they done that. Because then when you put your phone right here, this is the inductive charging pad where the phone easily overheats. It's not cooled or something. You have 2 USB-C chargers. But then either when you want to put your phone out, or maybe put it like here to the cup holders, which are adaptive maybe, then here the cable is getting squished. You just break your cables there. And also your smartphone yourself, when you don't want to have inductive charging, you have to put it in there. Even if you put it here, everything gets squished. So this thing damages smartphones, damages cables, and I can't understand how this has passed the initial quality testing. So as if no one has tested or driven that vehicle. Don't understand that. But the overall build quality is really nice. Here for the key fob you have like a dedicated hole here, by the way, where you can easily put the key in. Also the adaptive cup holders, everything is nice, what you touch and feel and so on. I like this more traditional shifting lever, which has really like this thick, big effect. I like that. Backwards for D, forward for reverse. To pick the driving modes, actually, you have to go in this lower screen and hit the drive select. And you also have to press deep in there. Doing that while driving, not ideal, actually. For the touchscreen itself, there's also a feedback mode available that you really have to click in there. That one, however, you can deactivate. And I always do that because I think it's more suitable like we do on the smartphones. We click once and that's it, like here. And I don't want to like damage the screen with like a bang in there. So that's one of the features I always deactivate actually. I love the steering wheel size, perforation at the side. Yeah, an animal-free material would be very favorable for me. But the size itself, you have very good control over the vehicle always. And I really always like the virtual cockpit. Different visualizations are available and also updated. Now with the facelift here, you have these tiny visualizations of the vehicle also with the turning indicators. And you also get a head-up display. Rear doors here also with grey microfiber again, like that, and the carbon fiber, that's very well done. And also here, you can get this electric shade. That's very well executed. Look at that. So, and easily control it with the window control lever here, pressing it once and so on. That's how it's supposed to be actually. Really cool. And then here, these rear seats, you can slide them backward or forward for legroom or more trunk. You can decide that. And also this is then the lever for the angle of the back seats. You can put them a little bit more behind. But that also means, you know, when you really want to fold them flat actually, then here also you have to press them here, then they lock actually, and then you have to release that lever again to put them up again. Yeah, it's secure, but maybe also a little bit complicated. Then the middle armrest has this clicking, and it's also adaptive right here, so that's nicely done. And there's also a ski hatch, so you can fold this middle part. And you also have a separate climate unit here, and it works simultaneously like in the front. You can slide the temperature, and you also get some kind of feedback, also a clicking sound. So yeah, that's also actually nice, and there's good comfort. There's enough legroom left, no problem at all, enough headroom left. So yeah, nothing to complain here. It's a huge middle tunnel though in that platform, so sitting in the middle part here, it's also a little bit stiffer from the seat, but yeah, it works with 5 tall adults. Of course, 4 is always more comfortable. So what about the trunk? Let's take a look. It's the width of 1.40 meters, and the normal length here is also 1.40 meters. You can see it right here. So this, when I put the seat a little bit forward, then you have even more trunk length. This is the normal position, but you can fold these down individually as well. And the height is about, yeah, it's a little bit less than 80 centimeters, so like 30 inches, very well usable. There is this net here available, so you can use it and secure some things underneath. But if you want to access the area below that, then you have to unlock it like this. And there could be a spare tire as well. This here, the subwoofer, actually. And what's also really nice, this one here, the cover. When I close the trunk now, you can see it stays in this position so far, but then when it's closed actually, it goes back. Let's hit the German Autobahn, put in dynamic mode, and that automatically goes into the S shifting mode as well, so I don't have to do it then here. Everything is set on acceleration from 50 kilometers an hour. Let's go. Plop, 200 kilometers an hour. Woo. That was nice. So that was 50 to 200. So 200 kilometers an hour is 125 miles an hour, and so effortless. And there's no one behind us. Like a couple of miles away, the next cars are coming. Yeah, this is this power of this 4-liter V8 bi-turbo here with 507 horsepower. 4.1 seconds is the official acceleration figure to 100 kilometers an hour. Wow, and you see that even when we are hitting higher speeds, they're still always coming. There's no end to that. And a nice growling sound. In the Northern American market, the sound will be even better. Here in the EU versions with the particle filter, that's already a little bit drawn back, but still nice enough. And the 3-liter 6-cylinder, of course, is also a nice engine for this vehicle. It doesn't have as much power, but in most situations it will be actually fine. Difference is here you have, of course, even more sound, even more performance. Then again, also the consumption goes up. So here we end up with about, not when we do the acceleration stuff and stuff, like normal, but also, speed drive, like Autobahn and straight, and also some like 130, 140, 150. You score some 12 liters on 1 kilometers, so like 20 mpg US, 23 mpg UK. In comparison to the 6-cylinder, with the 6-cylinder you can save like 1.5 liter on 1 kilometers, or like 2 to 5 mpg you save then. So not the biggest difference as you would have imagined. So with BMW the difference is bigger, but the main reason for that is that the BMW 3-liter 6-cylinder is more fuel saving than the 3-liter 6-cylinder Audi. And I'm talking so calmly and easily to you, and Leah is also really relaxed. Although we're driving like 130 kilometers an hour, like 80, 90 miles an hour, and it's absolutely no problem. It's really effortless. Here in the dynamic mode, we also have some more feedback here, and even in the normal mode, actually, the car is always staying upright. So for the SQ8 here driving, the air suspension is standard. So also with a sporty air setup. Then also the rear axle steering is standard, what you rather feel when driving slowly, but it's not that much of a significant rear axle steering than maybe like with Mercedes or something, who offer more degree angle turning and so on. And then here also, additionally or optionally for the SQ8, the vehicle here is spec with that, the rear differential, sports differential for torque vectoring, and also the anti-tilt control. So the car always stays upright, and so you don't have this shaky SUV feeling, even at higher speeds. It just stays straight, And I don't need like this new Porsche or Audi e-tron suspension for that, which actively rules with a single hydraulic.
Sounds so nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Leah said it sounds so nice. Wow. Incredible. 220, 230, and there's no end to it, and it feels so effortless. Now we're going like 250 kilometers an hour, and it feels like nothing. Even the noise inside. I mean, we're driving like a standing cupboard, like a like a furniture size-wise, and it's so silent in here in comparison. So great noise insulation, great quality, and wow, even in the sport and dynamics setting here, it's very good comfort from suspension. When you go to the auto or the comfort setting, then the air suspension is a little bit more forgiving, but it's totally fine. The Audi Sport models always have a great compromise of sportiness and comfort. You don't lose much comfort with them, whereas other sports cars might, or sport versions, might have less comfort than here. Lane change, even in the comfort mode, because this is also equipped with the anti-roll control. You see it on the camera, it does not lean at all into the corners. That's of course also good here for the passengers. You don't get, drifting around here left and right. So it's really cool. Steering also has a nice progressive input. It's really direct and precise. Look at that. And once again, no shaking up at all. If you ask yourself, is a sedan or an S8 even better? Like think about an Audi S6 or S7 and so on. To me, it always has more comfort because you just sit lower, and there is then, you feel the G-forces in a different way. When you're sitting a little bit lower, I feel on long term it is a little bit more comfortable. The SUV is of course better for the entry in and out and so on. But I feel that the non-SUV vehicles are always better in the driving behavior overall. But this here is, as far as it gets for an SUV, just excellent. Remember, it's the same platform like the Porsche Cayenne, VW Touareg, Bentley Bentayga, the Audi Q7 as well. And this is a very good platform. They are all very good vehicles. And do I miss a Porsche here at all? Yeah, not at all. I mean, you can easily go here for an Audi SQ8, and then and enjoy this, what you would also experience in the Porsche. It's just one press on the pedal, and there we go, and we're gone. Wow, this was like a transverse bump, very well mastered. And we're already now at 200 kilometers an hour almost again. Here hard on the brakes because there's a speed limit on top there, no problem at all. So now we have to reduce the speed, just as AMG. Obviously is ignoring this, is he? Seems so. Nice monitor, by the way. Yellow sign here, very well integrated in the side mirrors. That's really, really nice. So also assistance systems wise, I activated here on the separate stall column here underneath. And then we're also centered here in the lane. There's also this new assistance systems. Oh,
Sorry.
bless you, bless you. Oh, yeah. Maybe some blessings to Leah in the comments. That will surely help with their cold. Yeah. So there's this new assistance systems view in the middle instruments. That's one of the big news from the facelift. Yeah, if this is big news from the facelift, you know that there's not so much news with the facelift, but the car has been good overall as well. And now, oh, interesting. I also see like a red arrow stressing again. There's a vehicle coming, you know, from behind. So that is interesting, actually. Pretty cool. That was an Opel Corsa with black wheels. Yo. So there we go. Lane change. And this also signalized here. Oh, and another symbol in the instruments here that the speed is now unlimited. That's of course also very helpful. So good assistance systems. The only thing I've experienced here a couple of times with Audi vehicles now is it's a setup thing. But obviously this progressive Audi steering needs very, very precise setup. And you see here that the steering wheel is not entirely straight when I want to go straight. It says like, here in this case, like a little bit left turn. And I personally hate that. Some might say, hey, I don't realize it at all. What are you meaning? You know, like, what are you talking about? But it should be like totally straight. But then I'm already steering to the right a little bit. But I've experienced it with several Audis, and it's not that there's fundamentally something wrong with the vehicle. You can reset it up in the workshop. Needs to be done at the original Audi dealer though. Non-Audi dealers cannot do that actually when it's a progressive steering. And it needs to be like done very diligently. Otherwise, when someone sets in and does like this, calibrates, then it's stuck like this, you know. So you need to be really precise to have it very straight. So if you have something like that in your Audi, ask your Audi dealer to fix it. Probably they won't make it for free. That's the thing. But to me, it's always a very important thing to do. So this is one of the best Autobahn SUVs. Clearly, I really love that, and can't make anything wrong with that here on the German Autobahn, both performance and comfort-wise. Well, and about the pricing strategy, an SQ8 is at least 100,000 euros or dollars, and that's already a hefty price. But when you pick some more options and so on, like it is spec'd with this very vehicle, it's 150,000 euros. And that's super, super expensive. Then you have to think about if it's worth the price. Well, I mean, if you compare it to a Porsche Cayenne, it's still way cheaper. So if you compare then the SQ8 to a Porsche Cayenne, this is the better deal, definitely. And it has the same phenomenal driving dynamics as for that. Some things are missing and can be criticized. Told you that earlier in the interior. If you have missed that, scroll back maybe. But overall, it's of course a very good Autobahn SUV driving machine. So astonishing how good you have these driving dynamics and the fun on the motorway, although it is an SUV building type. This is the all-new Audi A4. This is the all-new Audi A5. This is not an editing error. This is the truth, because this vehicle here is the all-new Audi A4 and the Audi A5 in one, and it is called now new generation of the Audi A5. So I would maybe call it the Audi formerly known as A4 tough car. Maybe like this, you know, remember Prince? Yeah, and I'll tell you all about it and like explain the logic behind it and so on and so on. We have it as the sedan or Sportback, and also here as the Avant, the Estate, all the versions, exterior, interior, engines, with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. First, staying here with our Ascari blue sedan, the S5. Yes, it's an S5. And you can see here, the S models, they have this honeycomb structure here in the lower part. Also these inlays here in the front grille. Usually, an S5 would have bright inserts right here and also in the lower part. This one here optionally equipped with a black package. LED, new lamps, there's a nice integration here, horizontal style, and they are in 3 different trims, LED, LED Plus and the Matrix LED. The latter one you see here, they also have special indicator animation and so on. You can see in a very sporty style, the hood has, you know, it's kind of like inserted into the whole front area, what we usually see from sporty cars. And the same applies also for the side mirrors. They are placed at the side doors and not here in this triangle. This also should remind you of sports cars. Next to the wheels, 17 to 20 inch. These here are 20-inch wheels. The biggest ones available are S wheels, and also the red contrasting brake caliper here for the S model, next to the black contrast here in the lower part. Usually the side mirrors would also be in the bright styling, which I personally prefer for an S model. But here, once again, with the black pack, you can also get this more sinister look here. 4.83 meters or 190 inches is the length. This is 7 centimeters or 3 inches longer than the predecessor A4, because for Audi, this is the successor of the A4. But at the same time, it's also the successor of the A5. You see, it's getting a little bit complicated, but they want to rearrange their portfolio there a little bit. And also the other logic behind this is that uneven numbers are the combustion engines now, and the even numbers are the electric models. That's why an A4 and an A6 is an EV at Audi now, and an A5 and an A7 would be the combustion engine, rather. And the funny thing is that when you look here, like at the height here, it's a little bit more A4 sedan. But then if you look here to this stretched roof line and so on, and like this shoulder or hip area is a little bit more A5. And I think, it's maybe like A4 and A5 have children, and after that they themselves jumped off the cliff, like the parents, not the children. And you can also see that here, this is then typical A5 Sportback style. It has this fastback or liftback, so it opens really wide, access to the trunk. Soon we'll also give you all the in-depth features of the trunk, also compare it to the Avant, to the S8. And in this case here also then the S5 model together with the Audi Sport badge right here and new light technology. On top of that, you can also get the OLED, and it's really interesting if you also look from the side. These are very, very small layers that stand out, and they are really very crisp, and different features are available. It has this approaching light. Sometimes it works here when you're a human, sometimes not. It's more like when the vehicle is approaching that you then have like an effect, say like, hey, stay away from me. And what's also cool is when I use the brake pedal now, look at that. So I turn on the ignition. So now I use the brake pedal. And then you can also see here how the brake light basically appears behind the OLED. That looks really amazing, doesn't it? And also the turning indicators here in a cascading style when you have the matrix LED. So they play a lot with light. And you can also switch through different light signatures and so on, so to individualize your vehicle. The S model here gets this additional spoiler on the top. It's also black, but this is one part that is always black and not part of the edition. There we go. So Leah has, Leah is a vehicle here today. No, she's very slim, perfect body, of course. And then here you can see, maybe you to come close again. Maybe. There we go. This is then the approaching light, and I think it's a useful feature because I told it also, like in a couple of other videos before where we've seen that there are these guys that come so close, maybe even at the traffic light. And it's like, do you want to drive into my vehicle or what? And then it's like, get off, man. So I think it's a very cool feature to play around with for sure. And then S5 exhaust tips, and when you have the black package, it's also a little bit darker here around, and real exhaust here, pretty cool. The standard would then be a little bit brighter here. So from the styling here, that's why I also picked this vehicle here as our first main exterior vehicle for the day. This would be mine, not with the black package, so this without the black package, in nice blue, and also here as the Sportback, because I feel it combines this, hey, I have the beautiful exterior, at the same time a great access to the rear. And when I've seen this now, to me it's more an A5 successor, to Audi it's more an A4 successor, but the truth is it's both. Of a line here, the 3-liter V6, the known one for the S5, 367 horsepower all-wheel drive with a rear-wheel bias. And this now gets an MHEV system, and this is really supposed to save significant fuel. So that's at least what they promise. Of course, when we drive this vehicle, we will find out for you. This is here it's an S5 Avant. Seriously? I mean, this is even like an even bigger problem for my brain. You read, oh, this is approaching that once again. You read S5 in close, then the camera goes back, and it's an S8. And your brain like, it's not possible. Yeah, it is possible. Obviously, you see it now, but I definitely have to get used to that. Do you as well? Tell me in the comments. Here, once again, the biggest 20-inch wheels. And here, my favorite styling, also for the S5, no matter if sedan or estate. Here, the chrome frame around and also the bright accentuation lower part. Here, then the silver mirrors as well. I would keep it like it is right here. And also in the front, this would be my S styling, definitely. Also with the bright inserts right here. Bright styling left and right. And I think it's really important not to go for the black package, to have the white Audi rings. They are two-dimensional now, and if they're two-dimensional, just it's the best, you know, look at that. You see, okay, it's an Audi. But then you look at that one here, maybe you see it from the shape, but when we look from here, you can't really see the rings, right? You know, yeah. You can never see it from a distance. And also when you drive in front of it and look in the mirror, it's like, yeah, maybe it could be an Audi, but I don't see the logo, you know. But here, when the rings are white, you do see the logo. So this is, by the way, here Daytona gray. Then this is also an S-line interior. So you have the badge right here at the steering wheel, flat bottom, perforated sides. Then also the fabric insert here. In this very case, you have this one large black panel when the infotainment system and the instruments are off. Soon they are going to be alive. And these are lovely seats here. These are the sport seats actually, but in fabric, gray fabric on the inside, a little bit darker on the outside, and they will also deliver you the best comfort because they have the softest and most plush bolstering. They can also electronically adjust them right here. This then also in the front, the electric lumbar support, front and back and so on. And yeah, this is a very comfortable feeling, because the other thing that Audi wants to do is making this segment here basically like one segment more above. That's why also here the electric control of the steering wheel. Yeah, I mean, it has grown in length. It's meanwhile pretty long, what used to be maybe an A6 in the past or something like that. So yeah, it feels very elaborated, and it also gets, you know, like this new screen format we have already, for example, seen with the Audi Q6 e-tron recently. So yeah, it definitely makes in this respect a little bit more upmarket impression in the first hand. And headroom here in the front with the fixed roof, yeah, plenty left. And the cockpit overview here. This is completely new, 12-inch instruments, 14.5 infotainment, and an 11-inch passenger screen. That's an option. Where you can also watch YouTube, for example, and you cannot see that as a driver while driving then. At the moment I can see it stationary, but not while driving. Also pretty cool how the ambient lighting is integrated, first of all, here in the front of the windshield, all the way around. And it also gives you, for example, here when I hit the turning indicator, or also the hazard lights on both sides, then you have this animation then also with the indicators. So yeah, a very nice light feature, definitely. By the way, as for the seats, as I said, these ones will give you best comfort, because like the other animal skin alternatives, Audi is not into that yet. So they're really lagging behind that one. There's also a Dynamica microfiber seat available, for example, then, and in general a base seat, a sport seat, and an S sport seat. That's like the logic. Here we have also fabric at the dashboard, by the way, and then in the lower part more ambient lighting integration like that with adaptive cup holders. Then real volume jog seal, at least that. 2 USB-C chargers and also inductive charging pad with cooling holes. This is here for the shifting, D, reverse, so pretty easy, nice solution. Then the drive select for the driving modes, you can also click it here and then it appears up there in the infotainment screen. So there's one solution not to do everything in the screen, at least with that and the volume. Here, nice armrest, you can fold it up, some space underneath, and you can also adjust the height right here with this button, so also a nice solution. A good size for the steering wheel. You have shifting panels as well, and I would say we have to still take a look at the who moved that mirror here. Yeah, that's the way it's correct. So yeah, sometimes I'm a little bit nerdy there when the details are not very precisely correct. Driver POV, here you can change what you see in the digital instruments, also for example on the left or on the right side. And then there we also have a head-up display, and you can check out some more studio lights right there. You also have more information in there. By the way, here optional B&O sound system, 20 speakers, and they are all over the vehicle. Literally, look here to the right is the biggest screen that Audi has so far, and it has this Android Automotive base, so it works definitely quicker than before. So yeah, definitely more responsive. Climate unit, however, is integrated right here, and they have this bar here that you can rest your hand while clicking something, but sometimes I also find it distracting in a way, because yeah, maybe you have to do like this, and then you have to see like how do you coordinate that with your fingers. Yeah, this would probably be the best solution. You rest your 3 fingers here and then click like right here, but it can also be blocking then at the same time. So I'm not sure if this was the best idea overall, or what do you think? Because here when I do click like this, then my fingers are blocking here, and then I don't know what to make of this, honestly. Or maybe do you have a better idea for that? Rear seats. First of all, the rear doors. Yeah, they look quite fancy, but it's rather hard than here in the rear. Then here with the fabric covering. No fabric on the inside of the doors, neither in the front nor in the rear. And then the legroom, as I'm driving, well, you can use this recess here. And you know that the length increase has all gone into the wheelbase. So we have more legroom than before in the A4. But it's not like plenty of legroom. You can see here you can sit here as a tall adult, but it's not plenty of space, honestly, for the length. And headroom, yeah, also works here. This is the Sportback or the sedan with the low roof line without the panoramic roof. So it will be better in the Avant and also with the panoramic roof. I'm soon going to compare that. Yeah, the comfort in general is actually quite okay, but it's not that it's a special vehicle for rear transport. Also here in the middle part, there's a large middle tunnel. Works more or less, a little bit harder, of course, not ideal. Then you have here in the middle console 2 USB-C chargers next to a separate climate unit, even with seat heating. Isofix here in the lower part, you can slide it actually open or close it again. And then this one down, adaptive cup holders, is actually also good build quality. And then you can also use this ski hatch right here. Here, headroom comparison with the S8, with the Avant, and also with panoramic roof. Panoramic roof available for both in the Sportback or sedan. Let's just leave it that way. It's a little bit shorter, and here there's definitely more headroom. So there's a little bit more headroom in the Avant in the rear, plus a little bit more headroom with the glass roof, and then you have like the max headroom. That would be like the logic. And if you come closer, this is also here the panoramic roof with the electrochrome function, and if you look at that, you can have the zebra look, although I don't see any logical reason why you would possibly use one or other, because either you want to have the sun blocked out or not, right? So this way it's clean, and then you can also have it slide through with this effect right here, or go back again. However, as a car user, I would wish just basically 2 functionalities: open and close. Why would you need something else, right? I mean, maybe you could argue like maybe like this, for example. No, I mean like this. If you would say, for example, shade for the dog or for the kids, and no shade for the front, maybe that would be the only use case. Pricing 45,000 euros is a German entry price I already have for you. The Avant is 1,650 euros more expensive than the Sportback or sedan. I will just keep calling it A5 Sportback, period, even though Audi calls it A5 sedan. Sorry, Audi, about it. Yeah, and this one will also be offered on the Northern American market. The Avant not. The S8 then will be more important for the German market. And I would like to know from you, what do you think about this whole renaming thing, merging 2 segments? Mercedes did that with the Mercedes CLE, merging the coupe segments of E and C class. Here now they did this with the whole mid-size segment, claim to be upper mid-size segment now, to be like a segment higher above. And partly I think it also works. I think it looks stunning. The exterior design Audi I think works very, very well. The others have received a lot of criticism. I think this one will be received way better, both as a Sportback and also as the S8. This is here the Audi Q6 e-tron in a full driving review, specifically as the SQ6 e-tron, the most powerful version so far. And here was Thomas on Autogefühl, 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with an in-depth look, also with the comparison to the Porsche Macan, sister or brother. How good is this one here in relation? And also, yeah, the Tesla Model Y, most sold EV in this world, most sold car overall in 2023. How does it relate to this one here? And does it justify the price you pay for this one? We'll find out everything together. Then here, the lamps, really slim. You can actually pick different signatures, and also when you hit the turning indicators, it looks really spectacular. Different LED levels, a low LED trim, then a higher LED trim, which is already standard here for the SQ6, and then optional the matrix LED that you also see right here. Then you have this rather closed mask, but it's kind of mimicking the gaps you had before in the combustion engine versions. The Audi rings are two-dimensional here. And usually an SQ6 would come with a bright mask around, like here, everything, but it's blacked out because this one here is carrying a black package. This vehicle color here is Daytona gray. I think it also fits the vehicle very well and will also be one of the most sold colors. Yeah, especially in Europe, in Germany, most cars are sold as gray or silver and as black. Yeah, that's the way it is. And then white and then the rest of the colors. Wheels from 19 to 21 inch. The SQ6 would start 20 inch. These here, the biggest ones, 21 inch. Still with these aerodynamic inserts. Yeah, some comments from the background as well. Then we have the painted wheel arches, and the length is 4.77 meters or 188 inches. So there is also the Q8 e-tron, but this one here is now on a dedicated EV platform, as I said, together with the Porsche Macan, hopefully bringing us some efficiency gains and so on. Suspension technology, as we continue on to the rear, is like a more classic building style, a classic SUV form. Oh, and by the way, I need to show you this right now, the charging flap. Oh, there we go. This is electric and it takes ages, yes. AC, DC charging is an 800 volt charging infrastructure, so in that case, then you just need a little bit over 20 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge, 270 kilowatt peak. That is very impressive. But if this charging flap really needs to be electric and it takes so long, I think a manual one would have done better, wouldn't it? Battery, by the way, 95 kilowatt hours net. Later on, we can also expect an 80 kilowatt hour net battery as a smaller, little bit cheaper entry version. So far, everything works with this battery. And if you come around to the other side, you'll see that we have a second charging flap actually on the other side. Now, sometimes no. Maybe I have to open the car once more. There we go. Yeah. I'm not so sure about this. I mean, the great idea is that you get both sides as standard. That's the comment to that again. So, and here then on this side then only AC charging. Yeah, but it seems to be working a little bit more reliable than it did in the studio actually. Well, and then back to the vehicle, because first of all, this light strip here goes all the way across. So very cool design. You can also once again get different stylings for that. The SQ6 and also an S line gets here this red S badge. Then if it's an SQ6, it also has then these, you know, this S batching then here together. Acceleration figures, 4.3 seconds here for the SQ6. However, you also get the normal all-wheel drive version. That is then like 1.5 seconds slower. And there's also an entry rear-wheel drive version only. The exact figures and stuff, we have also always a pinned comment and in the video description where you always find these figures. Most German EVs do not have a frunk. Why? I don't know, but this one does have one. And that has to be the connection with Porsche, because here you can store a charging cable, or I would say even more. By the way, all versions go faster than 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. This one here even 230 kilometers an hour. The SQ6, so like 140 miles per hour. So definitely also fast enough for the German Autobahn. suspension technology. Base is a frequency adaptive damping. That means it reacts according to the impact it gets, like the frequency of the impact. That's the base suspension, even for the SQ6. And then optionally you get an air suspension. When you go for that one in the SQ6, it has a sportier setup, and we will also test that for you here today. Rear axle steering, that's something that this one does not have. That one would be reserved for the Porsche Macan. Yeah, they want to have like a justification for the extra price for the Macan that it does get some more tech features and so on. Also pretty cool, the light signatures, welcome and goodbye, front and the rear. It works for 3 times after each other when you open the vehicle. Usually it's just needed for 1 time, but after 3 times it basically has this play protection that the kids don't drain the battery with that, for example. So in the front you have this crystalline building up effect inside the headlamps. That looks really, really cool. Whereas in the rear you rather have this light strip that builds up, and then you have some more animation inside the rear lamp. And you can also set the individual settings for the signatures once again, as I told you earlier, in the infotainment system here. Now Leah is showing us 2 more exterior features. Look at that here in the lower part. There is the e-tron badge, and it is really imprinted, so you can actually feel that. And the model naming right here is in this B pillar. There you can read SQ6 e-tron Quattro. That's like the official naming for that one. So for Leah, I think with the styling, with the black features and stuff, yeah, that's probably to her liking. And another thing that Leah found out, so when you open the vehicle, of course, then there's also the turning indicator, but then there's an additional one here. When you open the door, then it goes 1 more time with the indicators there. See if it's also the case when you close the door.
I don't think so.
No. So it's like when opening the vehicle and opening the door, I think. Yeah, look at that here. Also when opening the door. Interesting. Getting to the interior, this is the key fob, light and also no high gloss black. I like that. Then door closing sound. That is awesome. So that is just how it's supposed to be. Double thumbs up actually for both front and rear door and inside of the doors. It's not too soft in the top part, I have to say. However, then there's a nice microfiber insert and red contour stitching here. S-Line and SQ6 are kind of similar. You have this S entry badge, but yeah, as I said, it could be S-Line or SQ8. SQ6 is the same. And then here, all hardpack, just this rubber underneath that things don't fly around that easily. Then steering wheel here with a flat bottom. That looks quite cool. And at the moment, everything is shut off, and soon it will come to life. Then this will be illuminated, and also here you see this whole curved screen there, all blacked out at the moment, but this will also come to life. And then the seats, so you get base fabric seats, but in Europe only. Then you have normal sport seats, and these are the performance sport seats, and these are also available with microfiber here. So for this respect here, a nice choice. The normal sport seats I feel would be a little bit more comfortable than these here, but yeah, the seating comfort ergonomics is actually quite decent. The only thing they do not offer yet is a completely animal-free interior. The best would be in Europe, the pure fabric seat or a fabric leatherette mix. But then there are always animal parts in this vehicle here, and in a modern EV 2024 needs to find also an animal-friendly solution, definitely. And in here, 1.89 meters, a lot of headroom left, and the steering wheel. When I turn on the ignition, or when I, sometimes when you just sit down or use the brake, you can see here, steering wheel can be adjusted up and down, in and out. And there you can see now also these sliders are illuminated. You can slide it, hashtag capacitive BS, but when you click it, at least, you also get a nice feedback. Cockpit perspective, here more microfiber on this dashboard. And then on the top part is also soft touch. Then we can get an optional passenger screen, otherwise it would be high gloss black everything here. I always ask myself, why would that be necessary? I don't understand it, but I got some comments from some users that say when you pick something like in a navigation system, then the passenger sends it to the main screen or something like that. I always feel that passengers rather use their own smartphone to research like a restaurant nearby or something, but yeah, I don't know, you tell me. Then the screen unit here, there's like a 14.5-inch unit on the right side and a 12-inch unit on the left side. Zoom modules to that. In the lower part, middle console, 2 USB-C charger. Then there's like a smoker's pack here in the front part. Yeah, maybe not the best idea for such a new vehicle then for the resale value. And then here is an inactive charging pad. Sometimes it does lose contact, I feel. But the good thing is it is cooled, so the phone does not overheat. Then here you can close this one here for a lot of high gloss black. That does collect some fingerprints. Then you slide it open, and then adaptive cup holders here. And drive select, you click it. And then you either can click the drive modes through like this, or you can click once and then select it with your hand. So both is possible. You select the gears like this, D and R or P, and then this one here, the armrest, you can put that one up, then you have a lot of space underneath. Actually, there's even the first aid kit is hidden underneath here, so yeah, actually, why not? And this is your driver POV here with the two-dimensional Audi rings on the steering wheel. You get used to that. However, I like it more when I really can touch the Audi rings. Digital instruments, here when I put in a gear, you can see them even better. And then you can switch the view to a more simplified view, or more information there. Also, what information you want to see there. So they are actually quite flexible, and the speed is usually then there in the lower part. And here you can set this favorite button actually to, for example, the function to deactivate this speed limit warning. So this is a good thing then for EU customers. You also get a head-up display here with some augmented reality arrows. Hard to catch on camera, they appear full-time, definitely. You might remember Tesla is offering these gaming features where you can actually turn the steering wheel inside a card game, which is on the display. Audi offers gaming via the head-up display. You activate like a space shuttle game, for example, or a 3D squash. Starting with the space shuttle. You see it here in the head-up display, there's this space shuttle, and then you use the shifting pedals and the accelerator pedal or the brake pedal to change, to maneuver that through. It's kind of funny. Is it much useful or much fun? I'm not sure about that, but yeah, they're trying to be a little bit more joyful with that. And then you can also use this 3D squash. There we have this cage, and this is some kind of ping pong game. Once again, you use your shifting pedals for right and left, and then the throttle or the brake for up and down, to put that ball over to the other side. And then here in the infotainment system, it is actually quite quick and responsive. Looks quite cool. The climate unit sometimes did me some hassle, because I was doing something in the climate unit, and then I want to access the menu, and sometimes, yeah, like this, that's how it's supposed to work. But sometimes I clicked on the menu and it just didn't appear. And I have no idea why. So maybe they need to work a little bit more on the software. But it's something completely new indeed here. You have the code keys right there. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is of course also available here, wired or wireless, so both is available. So they stepped up the game here, although we had some problems with it, but overall definitely better than before. And then let's see if I put in Barcelona as a destination. So this would not be suitable here without charging. There, for example, here now in 256 kilometers, I should reload from 19 to 81%, and that's obviously it. Rear seats, here you can see manual shade. Then this is here on the top part. What is it? It's not, is it somewhat soft, but barely, I would say. Then here the microfiber insert. However, I have to say the microfiber quality I've seen better. There are different suppliers for microfiber, of course. And then here inside of the doors is also all hard pack. So for that price, I'm not so sure about that. Then here we also have the microfiber insert. The quality here on the seats is very good, actually, of the microfiber. And Isofix here with these covers, you can just push back that way. And then, yeah, legroom wise, I mean, it's an electric platform, but why is there hardly any legroom? I mean, it's not a short vehicle, so this is disappointing. It does fit for 4 toy adults, but barely. And always when I say barely, I always have to think of bears, you know, like bears, animal bears, you know, like barely. You know. Sorry about that. Okay. Here, 189 or 6'2". It's always like, you know, in general, you know, like with general, okay. I just keep doing the, yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, so not too much space here, but headroom is okay. Then it's here like the adaptive cup holders. There we go. And we can also use this one here as a ski hatch to just load the middle stuff through. The seating comfort itself here on the rear seats That one is actually pretty good when you are okay with this not so much space. And in the middle part here, fifth seat, it's a little bit stiffer. It works, but then the legroom is definitely the main problem. Different ways to open the electric hatch here. For example, also pressing twice here on the key fob. Then 530 liters up to 1,530 liters. This cover here is purely manual. Then there's a meter or 40 inches in width. And the length here is also a meter or 40 inches. I don't need to extend it actually. And here there's like the 77 centimeters or 30 inches. So yeah, well usable, not too large. You can see there's this step here, kind of it raises towards the inside, and then we can also fold the seats from here. It's good that we have this remote release. There we go, and then you see this step here once again. So this can be made flatter basically. And then here there's another storage also for several cables if you don't want to store them in the front, or some there, some here. And if you have the air suspension, you can also lower the whole thing here for an easier loading in and out. Then you can see that the air suspension then compresses here in the lower part a little bit. Drive select, dynamic. Let's go. Oop. Woo! That was 30 kilometers an hour to 100 kilometers an hour. Really quick here with the Audi SQ6. So then the most performant version here of this new large electric SUV by Audi. The official acceleration figure from 0 to 100 is 4.3 seconds actually. 4.3 seconds.
Ich habe das leider nicht verstanden. Kannst du das bitte wiederholen?
So that is when
Das habe ich leider immer noch nicht verstanden. Schau doch gern nach möglichen Sprachkommandos unter dem Reiter Hilfe in meinen Einstellungen.
Are you finished? Thank you. Back to our
She's German.
Yeah. Totally German, yeah. Yeah, that's always when you mention the brand name, and then, you know, it catches the activation word, and then, you know, with the voice recognition, but it always gives you the giggles and the laugh for that, definitely, for sure. One major thing they want to achieve here with this vehicle is that it feels lighter than it actually is, because it is a heavy electric vehicle. These battery packs add a lot of weight. And one of the measures is here, when you turn the steering wheel actually, there's a fine command even if you're on this low degree angle, you know, areas. So you don't have to turn the steering wheel much. And the reason for that is mainly that a small vehicle usually reacts a little bit quicker to what you do with it, you know, and that kind of conveys this feeling. So a very progressive steering, you don't have to steer a lot. At the same time, it's not super aggressive that you know, don't manage a lane change or something. So when I'm here doing a lane change, for example, landing here, I can still very well control it and not, you know, overdo it or something. Let's see from driving modes. This is here dynamic mode. Pick the drive selecting. I can do it here in the infotainment, but yeah, though this is way lighter. So this makes a big difference indeed. And dynamic mode. You also heard it was rather silent on the interior. The only thing you probably heard were all lunch bags there back in the trunk. I put them in the trunk because yeah, I was I was expecting that. That's why I put it in the trunk and the cover closed. But yeah, you still hear them, especially in the electric vehicles when you don't have the rest of like an engine sound or something like that. Here on the motorway, you would rather keep it in the balance setting, and then also it's a great noise insulation. Really, super silent in here. That is excellent. So
Now we can sleep.
yeah, I mean, you feel like this, you know, silence from the electric drivetrain, and then the great insulation of the windows. I mean, we're driving 80 kilometers an hour, like 50 miles an hour. We're on the motorway, and it doesn't even feel like we're being on the motorway. I mean, yeah, for a German customer here, you might say, like, this is no motorway, this is no Autobahn. Yeah, because, you know, I was yesterday on the Autobahn with a petrol 6-cylinder from Audi, and was driving like 180 kilometers an hour. So there's a very good comparison then, how that feels like. And this here feels super, super, super smooth. And this is also something in comparison to the Porsche Macan. Although we have here The 21-inch wheels mounted, the biggest ones available, even optional for the SQ6, 20 to 21 inch, the normal Q6, 19 to 21 inch. And also here in the SQ6 we have a sportier setup of the air suspension. The air suspension, even an option for the SQ6, but then with a sportier setup. But if we then compare the Porsche Macan to it, I mean, they are on the same platform and they are on the technological side, more or less the same vehicle really. But they really feel way different than I would have expected, even here in the SQ6 trim. So the Audi is way more on the comfortable side, and although it has this performance, it is so much better in the driving comfort. Yeah, that's nice here, and then the red siding. It's always good to see in the tunnel, especially when we have these driving. This was the blind spot monitor because the car was on the other lane before, then it switched. Yeah, especially good to see it in the tunnel then, because it doesn't seem to be on all the time. It seems to be connected to the daytime running sensor, but we have to check in the infotainment if you can also change that. Yeah, so back to the Macan comparison, SQ6. Here I feel like, yes, I have the power, but I'm rather using it for the stuff that cars are usually being used for, like, you know, being smooth, motorway, on city traffic and so on. And with the Macan I felt like I need to attack this all the time. At the same time you lose comfort, you know. And I think it's okay, because then you have the different brand positioning, because it's always tricky when cars are on the technological side basically identical. How can they differentiate them? Like we found out here, the Audi is the cruiser. It is the more, you know, like logical vehicle in that sense. The Macan more has these racing genes. And of course, for 99% of all customers, this setup here makes so much more sense. Plus you save at least 10,000 euros or dollars in the entry price. But if you spec the vehicle, the difference between the Macan and the Q6 will be rather like 30, 40, 50,000 euros. So huge difference. So if you ask me, I mean, you do have the performance here, and also, you know, like going left and right. I don't see any reason to go for the Macan unless you say like, I want to lose comfort, you know what I mean? Yes, it feels sportier, but I think that's actually a problem for Porsche, you know? So the more logical choice is definitely the Q6 e-tron, and the Porsche you would mainly go for the brand, like for the badge. That's just how I can comment on that. And I feel like one of the main findings is this very relaxing drive here, you know. These seats here, I talked about them earlier. These are the like the sports performance seats. The microfiber seating service is good. That's the good part about it. If you stick with the base sport seats, I feel they might also add some more comfort, because here with Audi, usually the sportier you go in the seat, the stiffer the bolstering itself is. But overall, so far, it's actually quite fine. Yeah, next to the aspect that they need to show us animal-free interiors, which Audi is still ignoring for most models. Yeah, so that's something they need to work on. But I'm really very positively surprised how smooth it feels here on the Autobahn. I could just go on for miles and miles and miles, and it will of course even be interesting, A, what will be the final consumption, and also how agile it will drive. And before we leave the motorway, here the assistance systems. So let's just, you know, leave the hands here. I'm supposed to keep him on the steering wheel, but just to show you how the car is following that bend here on the motorway in a very smooth way, very elaborated. We already heard the blind spot monitor. That's pretty cool. When I'm on the brakes, by the way, so the base recuperation is set rather to rolling. You can also go here to the B mode. Then you have very strong recuperation if you like that. So it depends on which driving mode you just prefer. Other than that, you use your brake pedal to do the recuperation. And this is also really strong, up to 220 kilowatt. It can recuperate via these two electric motors. First, there's recuperation via the rear electric motor. Then when this is all used, then also via the front one. So the rear one reacts first. And then the rear braking power is applied. So in 90% of all situations, you will use the recuperation and not the rear brakes. And am I feeling that? Actually, no. And that is also a great accomplishment. You do not feel the difference when you are using the recuperation, when you're using the brakes. And this is one of the main challenges when designing electric vehicles and talking about the braking performance. And that means you can sometimes even recharge the car quicker, basically going down the hill than putting in the plug. It's also definitely a very fun fact. And this is a very good example here. This motorway is bending quite a lot. So that's a funny thing, that the top speed in Spain on the motorways is not really high in comparison to Germany. But when it is so narrow and that curvy in Germany, then in Germany the speed would be way lower. Funny, isn't it? And here, for example, no matter in which driving mode you actually are, even balanced or dynamic, here I have a little bit more feedback. I've also now deactivated the lane keeping assist to have a more natural driving feeling. That helps a lot, definitely, because when the lane assist is activated, then it tends to interfere, when you're doing some agile driving maneuvers and so on. But then when you deactivate it, which you can also do here with your left thumb, so you can either here press here, then with or without, like the adaptive driving system, with or without lane keeping, and if you press and hold, then it actually disappears completely, and then you can, steer this one way better, and it's so much fun because you really feel how smooth it goes in every corner. Easy Sport, launch control. Woo! Yeah, that was 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. That was even more fierce. So I was in dynamic mode, plus then, it's an electric vehicle. Also, you get here to the ESC Sport, so the stability control is drawn back a little bit, and then you can activate the launch control. 1 foot on the brake, 1 on the throttle. Of course, not meant to use it on public roads. Yeah, that one is really something. So, I mean, it doesn't look that much high performance on the outside, maybe even not that much like the Porsche Macan or something, but this is very much performance alike indeed.
It's enough.
Yeah, that's way more than enough indeed. Important is when you also do like some nice cornering, or also then when you want to drive a little bit faster on cornery motorways. I made the experience now once again that it's really important to deactivate that lane keeping assist, because it interferes quite a lot. So you don't have to do anything steering wise usually, but when you want to steer yourself, you really have to click and hold here on the left stalk column, that you completely deactivate the lane assist, and then you can freely steer how you like. So this is really very, very important in that respect. Pricing, we have the German ones for the reference, is just under 70,000 euros for the rear-wheel drive version, only 75,000 euros for the all-wheel drive version, and an SQ6 94,000 euros. As it stands here right now, easily like 120k or something like that. So not cheap at all. However, way cheaper indeed, especially a configured one, than a Porsche Macan. So it's really like Porsche Macan, a fully spec'd turbo or something. You can also get like 150, 160 or something. Then this is cheap in comparison, but then again, if you compare a Tesla Model Y, this is again then half the price than this one. Yeah, so these are the price relations. Then as for the economy, consumption, real-world range, we could score some 20 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers today, so that's a little bit more than 3 miles per kilowatt hour, with predominantly motorway 100, 120 kilometers an hour, so like 60, 70 miles per hour, and some city driving, so a realistic mix indeed. So it's not the most astonishing figure, but actually quite good considering also this size here, and definitely way better than it was with the Q8 e-tron, so to speak, the predecessor of this one. Means a real-world range of around 460 kilometers or 290 miles. Now it's finally time for the large electric Audi sedan, Sportback and estate models. With this lineup here, can they take on the BMW 5 Series in the electric versions and the EQE by Mercedes? We're going to find out here with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Very first glance here, this is the estate, the A6 e-tron Avant. And here we have the Sportback version, because it fulfills basically the sedan and Sportback version at the very same time. So the new naming logic at Audi is that the even numbers, so like A6, A4 and so on, they are the electric models, and the uneven models, uneven numbers like A5, A7 and so on, they will be combustion engine. So this is then the new naming logic. So this is here a replacement of the A6, but then on the electric side. At the same time, it's also an electric A7. Did you get that? Well, we're going into detail here right now for you. This color here is Siam Beige. It's a very interesting color, really screaming out. And this is here the A6 Sportback, so electric with a liftback in the rear, soon more to that. You can see here the two-dimensional Audi rings in the front. This one also has a black package, so we have then the black frame around this. The headlamps are really slim in the integration. You have a low LED trim, a high LED trim, and then here the matrix LED trim, the highest trim. You can also pick different light signatures. We can already see it right here. So for example, this light signature here is different from the one you can see there. So this is another thing where you can individualize your light settings as well. Interesting also that the second LED trim is from the hardware identical, but then needs basically a software unlock also to have the matrix LED function. This is the new automotive world where you have the same features from the hardware on the inside, but then have to pay extra to unlock the things. We know it from Mercedes, for example, that you have to pay to unlock the rear axle steering to a higher degree and so on. Not a trend I would exactly appreciate. First of all, let's stay with the Sportback here. 4,93 meters or 194 inches is the length. So this is a region of today's Audi A6, but also A7, and you can see it has basically this A7 form with this really sensual, fluent line, strong hip area. In this case, again, with the black package that you have the black frames here around. And these door handles, they don't have any physical haptical interaction, but you can grab underneath and then open that. And you can also now get a soft closing function here for the A6. These here are the camera mirrors. They also now fold in electronically, like when, to save some space when parking and so on. They will also have a different visualization now on the inside, so I'm going to show that to you. But you can still get the normal mirrors, and we have them right here. Look at that. This would be also an S model. There you have, for example, the silver contrasts, and it directly leads us over also to the S8. And there you can see that in the side profile, it has this unique feature that this upper bow goes from the front to the rear. It has the very same length. Difference is really just that the roof line is carried on all over here to the back, and especially on the European market, this will be probably the more dominant model. And we can see in the rear, another new feature is that you have these illuminated Audi rings here in red. This looks very cool, isn't it? Again, an option, the scheme. They try to condense it a little bit more with packages now, but still a lot of the things you can see with this vehicle is still an option. Standard, however, for the S model is here that you have the silver contrast right here. I think one thing I like best about the S models, of course, no matter if you go for the S8 or the Sportback, both is available as a standard model and also as an S model. In the acceleration figures, you would start with around 6 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, and then you go further down and down. Up to 3.9 seconds is the quickest at the moment with the S6 model. You can find the exact acceleration figures for rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive versions then in the pinned comment and also in the video description. So you either have rear-wheel drive electric motor or an additional electric motor in the front, and then you have this all-wheel drive setup, of course, without any mechanical link or something. But the rear electric motor will always be the stronger one. Interesting is that the boot is both 500 liters on the inside. It has to do with this, counting logic, and the estate model only has a higher luggage volume than when the seats are folded down, because here it's very special, and I think I really liked with this Sportback concept. I always loved it with the A5 and also with the A7, because the car from the exterior looks like a sedan in a very fluent, nice design way, but at the same time you get great luggage capacity on the inside. Soon going to open that. First of all, here the light strip goes all the way through. Look at that. These are also OLEDs, an option, organic LED. And there you can see you have an animation on the inside. Even here when static, you can see it's like shimmering a little bit like that. And of course, even more impressive when you hit the turning indicators, you have the cascading effect, for example. And you also have more interaction with the outside world. For example, also when you hit the turning indicators, there's like a warning triangle that warns the vehicles behind you. Then let's open that one here. This is then the normal A6. There you can see the special thing, it has this lift back opening. So this is what I meant, that it kinda is the A6 and the A7 in one car, plus being electric. And this is then here the 500 liters setup. You can see underneath you can still store a charging cable like this. On the right side you can see the subwoofer. You see that here it raises a little bit towards the seats. Soon more also about the battery deals and so on, but you can also fold down the seats like this, 1/3, 2/3 split. And then when we have this setup here, this is then where the Estate would have a little bit more volume, because you just have a little bit more air than on the upper part than here. But you can see in most cases then, like in Northern American market, this here will be the version. The Estate, if it will be sold or not, is yet open, Audi says at least. So if you state in the comments, maybe if you're from America, like from USA or from Canada, and you say like you want the Estate, maybe Audi will think about this. And I would say we just take a look at the Estate right now, just to compare it actually. Let's see if there are any differences here with the Estate model and also with the ruler of truth. So I just measured also the Sportback model. It was about 1 meter in width. It's the same here, like 40 inches. And it was 1 meter and 5 in length. And yeah, this one is slightly longer with 1 meter and 8 or then 43 inches. So like an inch longer than here, but it has more to do with the building style in the very rear. You can see in the height, it's just easier accessible right here, like about 70 centimeters or 27 inches. That's also the same in the Sportback. It's just that especially here you have a little bit better access, but it doesn't make too much of a difference, just that you have a little bit more height than here in the lower area. You can also fold the seats right here. There we go. So both will do very good for the whole luggage setup. And we also have a towing possibility here, and it is 2.1 ton, and that actually counts for all the models, so not only for the all-wheel drive but also for the rear-wheel drive models. And here you can see again the difference, the base model, black package, and here the S model without a black package. I really like the silver contrast, and here is the same blue color. I need to look it up again. It's like this South Sea, Malpelo blue. So it's Malpelo blue here for the Sportback, and also what we had with the Avant, just that here once again we have this nice silhouette and the contrasting mirror. Once again here also the real classic mirror, so you don't have to go for the camera mirror. 21-inch wheels, by the way, with all the vehicles we have here on location. 19 would be the base, you can go for 20, or then here for 21-inch wheels in different stylings. As for the suspension, you have a normal base suspension. Then you have the optional adaptive air suspension. And if you go for the S model here, then this one is standard and also gets a sportier S trim. By the way, the Sportback will be a little bit more efficient. 0.21 is the CD value. That's the best for the whole Volkswagen group overall so far. And 0.24 for the Estate, for the Avant. Not sure if that will really reduce the range significantly, but especially when you drive a little bit fast on the Autobahn, I think we will feel some effects. So that might be a reason to go for the Sportback. Yeah, the Avant then, when you want that styling or that little bit more space in the rear. And this one is a magnetic gray Avant. Maybe also something new, once again with the black package with a lot of black accentuations throughout the vehicle. And in the front you can see these ones in here in the lower part as well. So which color would you go for from this studio setup here? Tell me in the comments. Yeah, I think styling wise this one probably would be my favorite, Sportback plus in the S trim. And as for the battery size, there will be later on an entry level battery at 79 kilowatt hours net. Starting, however, with the bigger battery, and most will probably go for the bigger battery, also equipped with this vehicle, 95 kilowatt hours. And then the question is, what real-world range can we score with that? On the same platform, we recently had the Audi Q6 e-tron. There we had some like 20 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer, so like 3 miles per kilowatt hour. And that would mean a real-world range of 500 kilometers or 300 miles, like in a realistic and low estimation. However, since these here have now the flat form, better CD value, they will also be better in the efficiency than the SUV. So I guess that in a good case with good temperatures and not too high speed, especially the Sportback will be able to do more than 500 kilometers or 300 miles. Of course, we always give like the low estimation figures and don't try to exaggerate. We only try to give the exact figures when we have really driven the vehicle. The official figure even goes to like 700 kilometers or something, but when we can drive this one very soon for you, we'll keep you updated with all of that. Just like in the Porsche Taycan, the Audi e-tron GT, the Porsche Macan, the Audi Q6 e-tron, also here the A6 e-tron models use the 800 volt charging infrastructure or architecture, and that means from 10 to 80% you can charge in 21 minutes with a 270 kilowatt DC peak. And there it is, DC charging. And yeah, you've seen this by the Q6 e-tron, very famous charging flap meanwhile. So the logic behind that one is that it opens here electrically, and then you put in the cable, you plug it out, and then it automatically closes again. Or if you leave it open, like, you know, after 1 or 2 minutes or something, if you want to close it again, you know, by yourself, you have to give it a little push, and then the electric motor goes again. There we go. And yeah, you might argue about would have been maybe just easier to go for a manual charging flap or make that maybe an option in this case or so. I personally prefer the manual charging flaps. It's just, you know, easier, nothing can break and so on. Yeah, because this also always takes a while. Yeah, I think you can argue pro and con with that, but it's definitely always a funny feature to show off, and it's also very famous in our vertical format, like on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook in the Reels. If you haven't joined us for this format, definitely do so as well. This electric charging flap also exists on the other side here, on the passenger side. Same mechanism, yeah, thanks again a while. But here then in this case, only the AC charging, but it's good to have it on both sides, definitely, to just be more flexible from which side you access a charging station or a wallbox. By the way, you can also order our merchandise out now here, either this shirt here, we also have a simple logo shirt, a cap, and also the Autogefühl fake exhaust shirt. So it's linked in the video description in the pinned comment, and also under the video you'll find the shop integration. Then here to the front of the vehicle, you may remember it from the Porsche Macan. Here you can also swipe here and make a swiping gesture in the front, and then the front also opens. It's good that you not only have to go and open it from the inside. And yeah, finally also an Audi EV with a frunk. Well, the Q6 e-tron also had one now, probably like with sharing this platform together with the Porsche, and Porsche has this, you know, really long background of frunks, and yeah, this is definitely suitable at least for a charging cable, and then you don't have to store it underneath, you know, when there's luggage on top of that, and you don't have to put it up. Interesting, by the way, that these are also like an additional dampening measure. So then you maybe hear less, you know, vibrations that is created from the hood itself and so on. Usually we just see that with combustion engine models, but yeah, Audi says they have also paid a lot of attention to the NVH, so noise, vibration, harshness. Of course, when we drive the car, we'll see more about that. And if the car has a low CD value, usually it's also good then for less noise on the inside and so on. We'll keep you updated with that. If you want to open the trunk with the foot kick mechanism, by the way, there we go. When you get closer to the vehicle, you now have this symbol here that you exactly know where to do the foot kick. And then, because you maybe even know it from your own vehicle, when you have this foot kick mechanism and then sometimes you swipe here and there and nothing happens, but there now you exactly know where to do that. So yeah, that's a good feature. There we go, we can also close it that way. And I have to, you know, be away from the car that it really closes. So if I would stand there, well, it's being said that it doesn't close there. Let's just try it, you know. Here it shows me again where I have to swipe. There we go. Now let's see if I can kill myself with this vehicle. Because, you know, also that sometimes happens. I'm not dying. That's good. Yeah, I think now I was too late, actually. But I think that's a very good feature, because it happened to me quite often, you know, that I was packing some things here in the trunk, and then you were at the sensor here with your feet, and suddenly the trunk was closing on you, and that was pretty painful. So I think very good mechanism that the car is actually, yeah, waiting for you now. There we go. And then when you move away, then it does really close. here we go. If I close the vehicle, also here the camera mirrors fold in electronically. That looks really funny, doesn't it? This is the key fob, matte black, but fits quite good. Then you can see here the door handles. They don't come towards you or something, but you can grab in and you don't have any physical feedback there. They now also offer a soft close here. There we go. But the door closing sound needs to be tested anyway. And yeah, because there's the motor, it's a little bit more resistance then. But yeah, when you slam it really, it's a good sound. Let's try the rear. That sounds even better. But there's also, there we go, soft close here for the rear. Then inside of the doors, here there's, like rather hard pack on the top part. Then you have different decor elements available. This is maybe not my favorite one, but pretty cool is here we also have a fabric option for the inside of the doors, here with some nice stitching, optional Bang & Olufsen sound system, 20 speakers, and here you can already see the screen then here for the digital mirrors, and it has a better placement now. So before it was like here, now it has moved up so you can better see that, but you can still go for classic ones. Then here, the inside of the doors is not covered with some fabric or something, just some rubber ground. This being the S-Line interior package here, by the way. Then you also have S-Line steering wheel, flat bottom, S logo. This is also the animal-free steering wheel. It has different special structure on the surface that you can actually differentiate that. Soon I'll also make all the screens alive, but you can see when it's off, it's like one black panel. And these are also the fabric seats. Has a very nice cushion here, so this then in this case the whole animal-free setup here in this grey fabric living room style. Then this cockpit overview here consists of 12-inch instruments, 14.5-inch infotainment system and an 11-inch passenger screen optional. Yeah, the sense of that, I always say it, I don't see it. A passenger would rather look on their own smartphone, but some do like that, and then you have the option at least, otherwise there's a decor element here. This decor styling here is not my favorite one, honestly, but I do like the fabric here on the lower part, that looks quite fancy. Then with 189 or 6'2", there's still enough headroom left above my head, so that's actually quite good. They are more spacious vehicles, but it's definitely fine for tall adults as well. And yeah, I mean, due to the lower seating position, if you compare it to the Q6 e-tron, it conveys a little bit more driving fun, definitely. You still have a haptical interface here for the volume. Then in the front part, 2 USB-C chargers. This here, the smoker's package. And the smartphone is like hidden here with the inductive charging pad. Not an ideal solution. Yeah, has to be clamped in. Yeah, maybe they should have thought of something better. And then here, shifting lever, reverse, driving, cup holders are also adaptive. They are more beautiful hands than mine. No, it's fine, it's fine. She will also want to take a rest for a while. Then here the armrest, you can slide it open. At the moment this here like prototype car, so it needs to have these emergency off switches, but of course you have a storage in there. Driver POV, here we can also switch the views of the digital instruments, and yeah, they are actually quite nice and very nice to see do the job. And then we also have a head-up display. There we go. Isn't catching that well on camera, but yeah, for real eyes it's okay. And when I look over here to the rear infotainment system, the climate unit is always to be controlled here in the screen in the lower part. You know, I do prefer physical dials. At least they always stay in this kind of position, and it is now Android Automotive based. You can still connect Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it's completely new backend, definitely. So this is majorly changed in the drive select. Here, when you click through the modes, you can also then switch the air suspension if you have that. In the efficiency mode, it goes, by the way, 20 millimeters lower to be even more efficient. Now you also maybe hear in the background the air suspension working like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward if this one is now way more reliable than, for example, in the Q4 e-tron, where it wasn't that good. And now Leah is showing you the electrochrome roof. At the moment, everything is open. But here, this is then the Avant version, and you can either have this split or like this zebra pattern, but I don't see any reason in that other than a show effect, honestly. But more reason is then when you completely either open or close it, and it has this layer effect, so it closes like this. Layer effect, yeah. And when you open it again, it goes like this. But I also have to say, why don't they just make one button and then it's open and another is closed like other manufacturers? Because I think, once again, this is nice for showing off here in the video or for reels or something. But when you are a car customer, you want one click open and one click close, don't you? Rear seats. Whew, honestly, it's giving me a little bit of the EQS vibes. Look at that. I mean, it's an almost 5 meter long car and it does fit for tall adults, yes, but barely, not too much legroom. And can you also see how low I'm sitting in here in the way? Like here, like the angle. So I feel a little bit lost in here in the rear, honestly. It feels like, why are my knees so high? It almost feels like I would be like, you know. But then headroom works with 189, 6'2". That's the Sportback version here. So I think the bench is too low. That's probably the thing, right? Isn't it? Isofix on the outsides each. You can slide these covers open. Then here, cup holders are adaptive. And you can also fold this ski hatch here. That's also possible. Middle console has a climate unit, but it's not powered here at this moment. Top tether at the rear. At least there's no big middle tunnel or something like that. And let's take a look at the rear doors on the inside. Nice fabric covering here, rather hard on the top part, and also no covering on the inside here again. So expected a little bit more here. Interesting also, the Avant has more headroom here in the rear, and also the panoramic roof helps too. So like fixed roof versus fixed roof, Sportback versus Avant is 3 centimeters or like an inch more headroom, and then another centimeter here with the panoramic roof. So this is then the most headroom setup here, and the least headroom setup would be Sportback with fixed roof. It's still fitted for me with my height, but here definitely more headroom than overall. Some of you might know I grew up with pets or animals, and they were always family member or even children to me, basically. That's why I care about also animal-free interiors. And the thing is, I'm really happy that Audi now offers a solution. Finally, they were really late to that, but I really appreciate it. However, I think the BMW approach is a little bit better because they offer high-grade leatherette, whereas Audi just offers a fabric interior. And some like the fabric interior. I also like it, and it also has a lot of advantages. But especially, for example, in the Northern American market, people would maybe wish this slick surface here to wipe it clean and so on. And there, BMW offers the high-grade leatherette, which is just better than the animal version and even more breathable and more sustainable and more animal friendly. And Audi has the choice either fabric or animal skin, you know. And I think high-grade leatherette needs to be basically the standard nowadays, that you don't have to switch between like either or. If you like this panoramic roof feature here, by the way, it's not only available for the Avant, but also for the Sportback. Yeah, and as I said earlier, the Avant at the moment not planned for the North American market unless you really protest against this in the comment and say, Audi, hey, we want the S8. We've seen it quite often, you know, that you say, hey, we also want the S8s in the US. So yeah, feel free to join it in the comments, and then Audi can also read that. The thing is that here with the A6 e-tron or the S6 e-tron, it will basically, with this size or with this length, at this moment fight against both of the German competitors, like the Mercedes EQE and EQS at the same time, and also the i5 and the i7 by BMW. So in this approach here, they basically have one vehicle and for kind of both segments at the same time. So it's very, very interesting what happens with that.
So I am really a friend of the classic user interface in the so far generations of Audi, and that's why one of my dream garage would be an Audi S5 convertible actually, or if I would go for the best all-rounder, it would be an Audi S5 Sportback. If it's the RS5 Sportback or the S5 Sportback, I think it doesn't matter that much. They both have 3-liter 6-cylinders. The RS6, the 2.9-liter V6 biturbo. The S5, at least in Northern America, you have the 3-liter 6-cylinder V6. So in Europe they went for the diesels for a while, except for the convertible actually. So that one you could still get with the pure petrol engine. And for long mileage and so on, I really fancy the Audi A7. Maybe the Audi S7 would already be enough, at least when you can get it with the petrol engine. In Europe, you would need to go for the RS7 because once again here, Audi switched it to the diesels for the S models. So my perfect garage would actually be then an Audi S5 convertible plus an Audi S7 or RS7, then which one I can get as the petrol engine for longer trips and so on. I really like the RS7 or S7 styling because it's so elegant. At the same time, it is so well usable from that fastback opening. Or if it would be one vehicle just you pick, then I think still the S5 or RS5 Sportback does it all because you have enough flexibility. It's not too large, yet again it's not too small, just is the perfect all-rounder. Which one would you pick from these ones? Tell me why and join us for more comparison episodes.